Good morning, afternoon, or evening, wherever you're at, ladies and gents. I am Kuura Isagami, your resident tinkerer and meta-rotter, and welcome back, actually, to the Meta-Rot News Network as we kind of go for a double feature today here on April 29th, 2025. Following my usual every Tuesday coverage on the Meta News, tonight's stream is actually going to be one I've been waiting on for quite some time. Having a lot of fun with, especially with the planning process. And with me, of course, as you see, is a very special guest with me here tonight. One that has been a very dear friend of mine here on the MNN, has tuned in with me every now and then, and has been a fantastic partner to me as well through all these years. Ladies and gentlemen, may I go ahead and formally introduce Sain to the chat? Let me get everything set up here. Sain, how you doing today, my friend?
Hey, how's it going?
Good to have you with us here on the MNN again. How you doing today?
Uh, Honestly, super good.
That's really good to hear. I hear that you've been pretty busy on your channel too over this last week or so, haven't you?
Oh boy, the work does not stop.
I imagine it does, and I also want to take a chance. First of all, I wanted to mention it sooner, but I got sidetracked with all the planning. I did see your message earlier today on you making the VTuber Twitch Creator Club. I do want to take a minute and congratulate you formally on that for making that really big milestone. I'm sure that's going to be a really big spike in your content going forward, huh?
Aw, thank you. Well, I suppose it's a really big, it does look like a really big event, but there's a lot of VTubers in there as well, and it's pretty. How do you say this? It's a very crowded place, but it's still a very big honor to be part of it.
That's
Let's just
that's
say
what
it
I've
like that.
heard. As a YouTube streamer, I don't really I don't really keep too many tabs on the Twitch side of things, but I've been seeing a lot of people getting into the Creators Club, and even if it is really, for lack of a better term, oversaturated with all these other VTubers hopping in, the fact that you have access to that now as part of the platform alone is still worth celebrating in unto its own right. And I've tuned in every now and then with your content along with others, and it's always great to see what you do and what you bring. Bringing other VTubers on there, just kind of give them a shout on your own platform for a while, and that's always worth praise. Wonderful for what you do, and it's always great to have you with me in my little my little corner of the internet.
Always a pleasure to be here, honestly.
It's always great to have you as well. I'm looking in the chat here. PLST, I do see you. Walter Snacklefox, welcome, welcome. Glad to have you guys with us tonight. So tonight's stream is going to be rather special. It is much like most of my other art streams, where I'll simply find a prompt from my random Meta-Rot generator, and then we try to make something happen out of it. But this one's a little different. Now, of course, I'm going to be having my dear friend Sain here with me as a kind of a feedback as we kind of work on developing this together. But I gave Sain a little bit of a challenge and a little bit of a request prior to this to kind of make things a little more exciting on my end, since I'm going to be the one working on the stream, of course. I had Sain play around with the generator, and I asked Sain, if I want you to find 3 prompts, prompt results that you, after fiddling around with it, see what you think. I want you to find 2 to 3 that you really like, and don't show them to me or don't tell me about them until stream time, because I want to be, I want to approach this as blind as possible so we can have the most fun creating something original without any of us having the chance to like plan ahead or think, what could really make this work. So that was kind of the only real the only real challenge that I gave for Sain here, because I wanted to make it fun and enjoyable for everybody as we all kind of approach this on the right foot. And I did get a hold of those thanks to Sain and got all those set up. Let me go ahead and drop the first one here real quick, and then let me go ahead and get my BGM started in the background too. Actually, while I'm at that, Sain, would you be interested in this BGM playlist of mine as well? I can send you the link to that if you'd like it. Mostly just a bunch of
Please do.
It's mostly just a bunch of Meta-Rot covers that I found, but so far I found it's the only thing that doesn't get me copyright struck. So I've just been letting it sit here and enjoying it where I can. So I will hand that to you to kind of camp out with.
Thank you.
Then usual deal with art streams: if it gets too loud, too soft, whatever, just let me know and I can turn it up, turn it down, or whatever. Well, I'll let this run in the background, and I might just need to check in on it every now and then, because YouTube likes to say, oh, you're not on this tab for like an hour. Are you still alive? So that's going to be fun. Okay. Let me see, Pierre. I actually did recognize you, Pierre. So it is good to have you with me here in chat. But I do appreciate the clarification. Let me see.
Hello, Pierre.
Looking officially at this very first design that the generator spat out for you, Sain. Chance number 1 was an animal theme with rebirth, hold, missile, biped legs, and meltdown. So this is a very interesting.
Oh my gosh.
This is a very interesting kit. I have to ask beforehand as we get into this. Did you get a chance to look at the master skill sheet at all, or did you just kind of play around and see what results you found initially?
I honestly, the latter.
Okay, that's perfectly fine.
Yeah.
That is perfectly fine. That's because I was actually planning to go through this as well. Let me go ahead and actually get a canvas on here first before I go any farther.
Mm-hmm.
That might be the most important thing. Okay, so let me get a ruler set up too because I like rulers. Rulers make things fun.
I will confess, I went with my heart because I when I scroll down the list of themes, I saw animal. I mean, there's got to be an animal, and then the last one I got was fantasy. Oh wait, hold on. I should not spoil.
All right, so let me. Okay, will that work? Yes. Let me cut the size of this down one at it. Each. Okay. Okay, cool. Okay, so looking at this again, it was an animal with rebirth, hold, missile, and what I say, biped legs and meltdown. So this thing likes.
Digimon.
Yeah. So
sorry,
so what this thing can do? What can I do? Okay, so it can revive fallen allies that are in combat. So if an ally takes a hit and falls, it can res them back at a small amount of HP to bring them back to the field and keep the fight going. So he can res so they can res allies.
That sounds OP.
Holding. It's actually amazingly it's niche, but if you know how to time it right, especially with like self-destructive or suicide type builds, it's actually hilarious. I've seen people run those before and it's crazy. Okay, hold. So hold on the other hand is a unique negative ailment that upon attacking the target actually slows it down. It slows down targets, and I believe slows down targets. And I believe it also is a hold. I think it's no dodge. Makes it easier for hits to land when the enemy is afflicted with this ailment. And then, of course, missile. So simply just a gunpowder missile attack. Fires missiles. What else did we like about this one? It is a heavy limit of 3, so this is going to be a very chunky fellow. There we go. Heavy limit of 3 with biped legs.
Immediately saw animal with missiles and bipedal. I was like, this sounds like a Digimon to me, which I love Digimon.
Oh yeah, easily. And then Meltdown. So, Meltdown is a very unique, and actually a brand new leg ability that was introduced with the Godzilla collaboration. But to explain Meltdown, essentially, when afflicted with a melt-type damage over time effect, because there are 2 in Metatron, there's Fire and Melt. When afflicted with a Melt DOT, it restores the damage you would have lost with the damage over time, and then gives you a leg stats boost up to 5 times. So while this build may not be able to synergize with Meltdown immediately, it still means that if anyone does try to melt it down or make it easy for other hits to come behind it, Meltdown's basically going to cancel that and essentially give you a stat boost because of it. So this is a very unique type of mixed fighting kind of build, which makes it very unique and equally just as fun to figure out how we're going to put this together.
Well, in this meta, I wonder, do things that spread out too much become unviable, or are they like the best of the best?
Actually, no, because there's a very large viability, and there's actually a handful of abilities. One specifically is called All-Rounder, where if you have different kinds of skills equipped, you get a leg bonus.
Because I think when I think about that, I think about like the many cases where there's competitive characters that are jack of all trades, and then the jack of all trade character sometimes, unfortunately, because of the meta, in some cases, suddenly becomes a master of none.
Right. Now, what they usually do with a lot of the all-rounders like this is while they may not be like super powerful or like high DPS in their own right, which is perfectly fine, they specialize mostly in spreading out and doing a bunch of things at once to complement the team. So essentially what this one can do in particular, actually there's something else I forgot to add to this too, just so I can keep it on here. Animal themed. Okay. Basically what it does is like a mixed utility kind of. This is going to be like a mixed utility kind of character. So what it's going to specialize in is, like it puts here, but able to revive fallen allies and bring them back to the fight. Slowing down targets with a up close melee attack, and then fire missiles from afar if they can't get close. So we have a very solid little all-rounder here that can fit a lot of different situations. So now, ultimately, the question that we can come to is, what kind of theme should we give it? We have animal as our first idea. What kind of animal or type of animal, and we can think of this as specifically or as vaguely as possible, would kind of best fit this situation of being able to be friendly to allies, to slow down enemies, and also have a long-range option as necessary?
I would say an animal like this, and fire missiles. I was almost thinking of a hellhound, but then again, hellhounds seem to not be familiar with allies.
Yeah, I could see that. I could see a hellhound as being a possibility. I'm
saying that hellhounds are not very friendly with their friends.
Right. So this will be kind of funny in the sense that it has one skill that isn't very friendly, but that is friendly, but the other two are kind of I can do my own thing. So so now the big catch is as well is that we can consider is this is designed to be a very heavy type of model. So heavy armor and heavy bulk is going to be something to keep in mind with it.
Okay, let me see. Damn.
And if anyone in chat comes up with any ideas too, because this is a collaborative effort. This isn't just me and Sain. This is everybody that's here. So if you guys have any ideas on such, just fire them off.
Or if you're watching this on YouTube after, you can leave a comment section what you would create with a build like this.
Okay.
I see. Honestly, when I think about like a bipedal that shoots missiles like this, and honestly, I don't know why my brain keeps thinking about Star Fox.
Okay.
There's the most bipedal like launching weaponry on the things. I think about Star Fox immediately. Okay. Maybe that's just because I have Smash Bros in my brain.
I mean, that's a possibility too. Honestly, the first thing that came to mind for me was maybe like a lion of some kind. But that's just the first thought that came to mind for me. So let me see. Let me have some fun with this.
That's a good question.
Hold on.
I met Kuura. To the question to Pierre, I met Kuura in the streets of Net City.
Yeah, exactly. It's actually kind of crazy how far back that we go and all the different collabs we had over the years too. Like when I first invited you for which one was it? I think it was the Uno collab we had. That was the very first one with Sain and Vector. I think that was the first one.
Was it Uno?
Yeah, I think
no.
It was either the first or the second. I don't remember which one. Because I know we did that. I know we did Uno, and I know we did Goblin Cleanup once, and then we did Content Warning I think once.
And wasn't it Lethal Company the first one?
No, I don't think it was Lethal Company. I don't think I had it at that point. It was
I gotta check the backlog.
It was Content Warning I think was one of the first ones.
One
of the really early ones. Let me see. So I kind of just pulled up a random animal generator here just to kind of get some ideas out of these. Let me see. Ooh. I'm gonna hit rerun on these a few times and see just what it gives. Because I love random generators. It makes things fun. Okay.
Meltdown. Does an ability like Meltdown immediately has a? I know that it was like something that links to other abilities, but does the leg ability? Does it have to be with like a fire affinity?
So Meltdown is specific, yeah. Meltdown is actually specific, yes. So it does require a melt-specific DOT. So if it's afflicted with fire, unfortunately it won't work. but that means if there's an enemy that afflicts it onto this design, then they get to benefit from it. So this is more of a not useful to me right away, but if it does, I get to have a lot of fun with it. Let's see. Okay, so the first 6 that came out off of this, just to see what came up. Actually, hold on, let me pump this up to 8. Make it 8. Okay. Let me pump this a couple more times. Let me see. Okay, so the first result that I see here, we have 8 animals that it spat out for me. Those animals are a peccari, which looks to be some kind of hog, a hog or pig, a crow, a horse, a budgerigger, I probably botched that, a type of bird, a mole, a mare, a blue crab, and a goat.
Those are all very, very far from what I was thinking about, because my brain, like I mentioned, for some reason I had the whole Star Fox thing on the brain, but would it be too common and too cheesy to think of something like a fiery fox, like, you know, the yokai?
Like a kitsune type?
Yeah, like a kitsune. Or is that like way too, you know,
No,
am I not giving you a challenge?
No, I'd count it. I'd count it.
I think we're starting on a pretty good foot if we pick something like a kitsune.
It's still technically it's still technically considered a it's still technically considered animal, so I'll let it count. We can make it work. Let's have some fun with this one as well. There we go. This and designate this one female. So let me see. Get my template on here first, and we can tinker around with this. I like to have a template set up for the body first and then work around it. Okay.
Well, that was pretty fast.
Yeah, do this enough, you know?
That's pretty fast and pretty good.
Well, this is also just the rough sketch. This is just to kind of get it on the paper. We're gonna have some fun filling in the details later. Okay, so this is just our framework, like essentially what we're gonna do with it. So if we're gonna go with like a kitsune style yokai, let me see. As allies. So here's something I could consider with it too, is we could consider maybe going for like a kitsune mask style design, or do you just want to go with a full kitsune style face?
Oh, kitsune. The mask.
Go with the mask, okay.
The mask. I know I know the angle you're going for. Ooh.
Okay, so let me. I like when we're
sneaky.
I like when we're on the same wave. I like when we're on the same wavelength. It makes things a lot easier.
Of course, a crab. Actually, crabs. It's very tough.
There's a couple of crab types that were designed, but they're kind of weird.
I think when I think of a crab, bipedal, it's not usually the thing that my brain goes to.
No.
Yeah, usually think about tank legs.
Well, the couple crab types that we've actually had have all been I think the 2 that we have are multi-pedal. And then there was one that was actually designated as a C-type, but then they gave it an ability that made it really good on road terrains. Really weird choice that they did for that one.
You're really good with symmetry.
Rulers, my friend, rulers. They make it so easy. Okay, so if we're gonna go with the kitsune style design, so I'm thinking maybe if we could go for a wide sleeve kind of design.
I assure you that I am all flesh. What I'm wearing is an armor. I don't qualify as robot, but I will definitely honor myself as an honorary robot. I'm a cybernetically enhanced VTuber.
I mean, hey, remember, I actually did that one Orimeda in your style once.
Heck yes.
That was fun, honestly. I had a lot of fun trying to figure out that one. Okay. Let's do Bash on here as well. You can kind of see the vision I'm going for, right?
Oh yeah. You know, you damaged my brain when you said that in that one presentation that you did with the developers and everything, the alien skeleton.
Yes.
That thing, like Metados being based on aliens, it's still in my brain.
Oh, it's hilarious, honestly, just how much stuff was like blown wide open with that with that collaboration.
Oh my goodness, we're learning all kinds of secrets. I'm secretly a robot.
It's honestly just amazing though the stuff that came out of that. Like when I spoke with Miss Kana and Mr. Tagro, I was not expecting the answers that I received, like at all.
The fact that you got information from the devs, that's insane. That's incredible.
Frankly, I was not. I mean, I'd spoken with Miss Kana once before. I think when she gave me the initial answers, but I didn't actually expect to get an answer back from Mr. Tagro. And it was funny because when I did, I think I did mention that discussion too. I shot the message out, and within like 10 or 15 minutes, he responded back and said, "Okay, cool. What do you have for me?" So I think I just got really lucky and caught him. Let's see.
It was a good morning in Japan that day.
Yeah, I actually tried reaching out to Tiyuga, who's another one of the more consistent artists, but unfortunately never heard back from him, so I wasn't able to include it. Let's see. What kind of head style should we do with this?
Ooh.
Because we
I was thinking.
We said we liked the mask idea, and my idea was I was gonna do the mask. We were gonna do the mask cockeyed to one side of the head. Kind of like what you see at a lot of summer festivals.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of Metarods that have like, you know, like the animal ears, like the fox ears, cat ears, and stuff like that.
Right.
That vibe, I wanted to fit in. Like, you know, we can do a very extra design later, but this one I want to see how we can cook so we can make it actually, you know, something like, huh?
So let's
looks
try.
Like
Let's try.
I can sneak this in the roster, and it will look like exactly like one of them. I love the lines in the cheeks already.
Like a hat style design. Then we can kind of play around with it from there.
A hat?
I'm kind of like this, basically. I could probably make it put a little lower too, so it's like a kind of like a hood more than a mask, or a hat rather.
Mm-hmm.
I actually like this design, but I am going to shrink it just a little bit because I want a little tall. That's better. I like this approach way better. That's the other thing with art too. You have to be willing to appreciate what you do with it.
Oh yeah, I suffer from lack of decision making. I doubt too many times whenever I throw a line, or whenever, maybe it's not because I don't like my art, it's because I just second guess everything.
You have so many ideas for it,
Yeah,
and you're not
that
sure what you want to do.
Yep, it happens to me. I biggest respect to anyone who can cook art really fast. Artists on Twitter work really fast.
Yeah, no kidding. I've actually seen Ryoko post a lot of art, and what she started doing recently is like a highlighted artist. And what they do is they just kind of talk about like a different skeb artist that they find or that they commission frequently. And I'm like, you know, I really like that idea because it gives the highlight that artists are looking for, and it allows other people to find them, you know, based on like mutuals.
I asked Ryoko to help me learn how to use the skeb, and not only did she provide it like an easy guide, she just went into so many details that I haven't fully gone over it yet. It's like, whoa, this is like so much information, super knowledgeable. She loves supporting artists, and that's always something that I love to respect too.
Absolutely. And even with my situation too, where I can't really do much with affording or commissioning artists myself too. If I would, I absolutely love being able to shout out people or highlight. Actually, just fairly recently, as a great example, I posted a couple things on my channel in the last week and a half or so, and I put them in the What Is Metarot chat too. The music covers that my friend Gab did. I had those done in 2021, and I still had them, and he still actually remembered and said he had a lot of fun doing those. I just love being able to kind of give people the recognition they deserve.
I'm gonna be real. I'm really loving. How did you come up with like the line too, like the spike lines on the bangs and what looks like the back of the hat?
Well, my idea was it was me kind of like a side lock. So kind of. Well, let me go over here real quick. So instead of doing like a regular bang, that would kind of come up along the side of the head. This was more kind of like a what's the word? There's a specific term for that type of hair that's used in anime. I don't remember what it's called, but it's meant to give it a little more shape. So like in this case with our model having a lot of curves specifically, I wanted to try to find a way to contrast it.
Looking good, boy. Thank you. Thank you, Sean. That's pretty solid. Now you have me curious. Is it disrespectful if I Google like Kitsune Midora to see what pops in?
Oh, absolutely not. Absolutely, go ahead. There's actually one I was going to suggest right away. Her name is Kokono Elegy. Cocono Elegy. She is an Orimeda design that was a winner from a contest that Imagineer held a few years back actually, and that specific theme prompt was nine-tailed kitsune, multi-petal, and female. Those were the only rules. Those were the only rules they had specifically for entries, and that one specifically that you'll end up finding was the one that they designated as the winner.
Is it pink and with blonde hair?
No. Hold on. Let me grab.
No, don't worry. You're cooking there with the art. Focus on that. My apologies.
No, it's fine. I have a folder with all the mugshots saved as I hold on to them, so I can grab it pretty quick.
Holy smokes! You're always so over prepared for everything. Like I don't need Google. I am Google.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it's literally like how I don't know who it was I spoke to the other day, but one of them said specifically, "Hey, you're the Metabots guy." I'm like, yeah, I may as well embrace it at this point.
You are the Metabots guy. You are definitely. Well, that's like you're the. It's not just you're not the. You're the one.
Yeah,
which is incredible. Biggest respect.
But that design specifically was, like I said, that was a fan design that was submitted for a contest, and that's the one that they chose to become the official one.
This is like gorgeous. Oh my gosh. But there's so much going on. It's like, oh my god. It's like it's almost like an octopus, but I can see the appeal.
So the neat thing about that one specifically is if you look at the kitsune on the back, the black extension from the back side of the leg, all of the legs that are considered multi-petal are actually the tails. So if you count all the extensions on the legs that look like a tail, it'll come to 9.
That is insane, honestly. That is creative as hell.
So it was a very unique way to do it. They've actually done that for 2 other contests, I believe, leading up to over the years. One of them was a 9-tailed kitsune. Another one they did was for a Nue, which was a type of chimera. And then the third one they did was for Ouroboros.
Ouroboros. Oh yeah. Eating each other.
Yep, the infinitely consuming snake. Okay.
I sent Pierre the Metabot. You showed me. This is insane creative.
Nice.
Yes, that's a Metabot. It's crazy. It's a fan design and it's gorgeous.
Yeah, for the last design for Meta Survivor, what they did was they only picked 2 winners this time, which looking back on it, I suspect was mostly because they're releasing models into Meta Survivor in groups of 2. But then they took like 3. But then Mr. Unohei, also known as Producer San, spent like 2 or 3 streams basically just going over all the designs that were submitted for that contest specifically. And I was so happy. Now, looking back on it, I'm sure he was just looking over all of them, to be fair, but it was just so exciting to me, you know, when he streamed that and some of mine came up and people started commenting in chat, oh, you know, overseas meta rodder, or that is, you know, Western meta rodder. So I'm like, yes, the recognition I've been asking for all these years. I was in such a good mood when I found that
Oh my gosh.
Okay.
That's amazing.
So my idea for the backside of the head was more like an offside bun. That's at least what I was figuring out with it, with an ornate pin, pin through it.
Wow.
And I can,
you know, all the lore with the, you know, I'm already seeing the references. Like you got a little yukata, little kimono. Is it? Which one is it?
Kimono. Yeah. That was my next question. What do you think? Should I go for a long style or for a short style?
Long style.
Long style. That'll make things fun. Okay, let me see. So what I can do. Start. Okay. Yeah, because there's honestly just like a million and one different ways to approach something, and that's honestly what I love about seeing all these different designs, especially people that have different takes on them too, is just how they can choose to interpret. Say, for instance, the contest, like I said, you know, they had specific themes, you know, Nue, Kitsune, Ouroboros, and there was like a couple hundred to a few hundred different takes on how they could interpret an Ouroboros.
It's infinite. At this point, it's Ouroboros.
Yeah, exactly. That's what made it so great. In the meantime, while working on this, this is another topic we could bring into discussion. It's it's been pretty spicy in the VTuber scene these days, hasn't it?
Oh boy, spicy is an understatement.
Yeah. Well, I had to describe it somehow.
No, I kid, I jester, but it has been quite chaotic in the VTuber space because of honestly. If I were to say if this is something that affects like everybody in a scale, it's more of a cautionary tale of what not to do as a content creator, because some people are.
I 100% agree.
Yeah,
I've been reading. I've been reading some of the documents and all the comments on it since then. Just kind of talking about like people weighing in and saying this was my experience. This was, you know, what I heard from someone else who worked with them or spoke with them. It's kind of crazy, honestly. Like, I understand, you know, like nobody's perfect. You know, somebody's gonna make a slip up somewhere, and the internet's always gonna try to find a way to villainize these people. So it makes it a lot easier to cancel them or try to hurt with their livelihood somehow. I get it, but it's like in that one tweet that you made on it initially, like within the first day or so, saying like you had it all. You know, you literally did all of that and you were at the top. It kind of makes me wonder, like, you were at the top, like you were the top dog, well, so to speak, like to say,
pun intended.
Yeah, exactly. Like you made it, like you made it big. You hit the big leagues. You were the big leagues. Why throw it away like that? Like, why would you find a way to? I mean, even if it was something that was gonna hurt later, you know, like it was gonna make, you know, VTuber news for like a week, saying, oh, there's a spat between these two people, you know, like, why do that? It just doesn't make sense to me.
You know, before I go into my and I give my headpiece on that really quick, so I don't divert too much from like the topic of like the Metaverse and all that stuff, I will say that at first I thought this topic would just be like, hell, it's just drama between 2 or 3 VTubers. That happens very often.
Yeah, exactly.
But the scale, as someone who does a lot of, you know, talking streams and talk show related things and talk about VTuber news, it's gotten to a scale that even people that are not even in the VTuber sphere are going as far as to tag me in Discord groups or tag me in servers or send me a DM like, hey, what is happening here and why is this like on the news on everywhere? It's
Oh,
like, oh my gosh.
I had a friend actually, while I was doing post uploading stuff on my end for my coverage today, and
Mm-hmm.
because I told him about the whole situation earlier in the earlier in this week, and
Mm-hmm.
he's not in the VTuber scene at all. He's like, this is, I told him afterwards. He's like, this is why I don't follow VTubers, minus you. Talk about me, obviously, and I said, yeah, this is definitely kind of a thing, and he messages me earlier with a link to another YouTuber that's talking about it and says, "Oh, great! Now it's showing up in my feed." I'm like, "Listen, man, it's gonna be in everybody's feeds because
Yeah.
this wasn't just like a one-time like mid-level VTuber that's gotten some drama. This was a big one. Like this is not going away anytime soon. This is almost like the equivalent of like someone trying to cancel Markiplier in the VTuber realm, kind of big. Well, maybe not as big as Markiplier, but it was...
Maybe, yeah, exactly. I know exactly the angle you're going from, and they are huge because the reason why it's going out on that scale, it's because of the of course the people that are involved. They're all pretty. I think it's a collective, a collective boom. Honestly, it's
yes.
There's so many little details going in there, and it's not something that the person started doing once they got to the top. It's something they've been doing.
It's been doing for a while.
For a while, way since the beginning, and it's just now all the pieces are getting together. Like, oh, now it makes sense why all these actions took place for this person, why they tried to slander or
this has been a long
defamation. Yeah, defamation, sabotaging, all the quote unquote war crimes of content creators that you can possibly create. They did it and more. And that's what's so incredible about this, and also the status of the person. They are the when I said that they made it to the big leagues, they definitely did because they were the face of a lot of products like Gamer Subs.
Yeah, I heard that
the co-owner.
I heard recently that they were in their own kind of heat after a while outside of that too. So I can only imagine how this is gonna be turning around.
And then on top of that, they're like they're just being companies use the image of this person to represent their brands in a lot of things. Like, for example, if you go to Uwu Market, which by the way I also even sell my own merchandise in there in Uwu Market, when you search for the Uwu Market brand, she's literally in the middle.
Right.
It's like she's like the front face
right.
of like she wasn't just a content creator, she was the creator. She made it. And then, did she make it because of all these moves that she made? No, but she thought that was helping. And the moves that she did, like I said, like mistreating people, mistreating artists, bad talking people. Those are things that were in some people's space, mind space. They think that being a shark like that would benefit them.
Right.
But it really wasn't, because they were just had a jaded perspective of what being a content creator is about.
Right. And
which is you as a brand. It's not this. Right. It wasn't a fast food or a restaurant or anything. She had the wrong technique for the wrong place.
Yeah, exactly. And I was actually talking to my folks about it the other day, and they're not super big in the realm either. This is just me kind of keeping them in the know. And I mentioned the same case, like they basically were doing this to an artist, trying, with the whole exclusivity deal. And they're like, well, unfortunately, it's kind of how it is in the market. That's just kind of something that's going to happen. So while it's not necessarily wrong per se, what happened, how it was approached and how it was carried was definitely not okay. Like,
no,
if they wanted that kind of deal and that kind of operation. There's proper ways to do it, and even with me briefly skimming over all the documents, I didn't once see that like anywhere.
Nope.
It was mostly
went about it the wrong way.
It was mostly just we want this, and we kind of hope you say okay, but we're gonna kind of like pressure you to, and if you say no, we're gonna make you feel really bad on it because we kind of played really heavy into it.
Yeah, that was pretty much you pretty much summarized it right there. There's more nuance to it, but in a general sense, that's pretty much how it went.
Which honestly sucks. Like, even as an artist myself, when I was reading over the document, I was growing
Mhm.
more and more frustrated. I'm like, how do you treat people like this? Like, this is absolutely not okay. Especially with one as big as the one in question. Like, this wasn't no small artist either. Like, this was a pretty fairly big one. But
Yeah.
even then, the concept I feel still applies. You don't treat people like that. You're welcome to offer the case and deliver it, but yeah,
Mhm.
I think the way that it was carried was 100% not okay.
No, I mean, I don't know. It's I could go on and
It's
on. Like my brain immediately thought of the phrase. She didn't just want it to be on the top. She wanted to take others down as well, which is one of the goals the person had in mind. And it's like, come on, you didn't need it to do that in this field, not like that.
no, not at all.
But I,
Especially when you're up in those tops like that. It's very easy for you to do things. Like, you don't work around the schedule works around you. Like, it would have been very easy, say for instance, if they said, hey, let's schedule a collab this day. All they have to do is just coordinate schedules, and everyone else makes it happen because they know because people want to see them.
oh, you're probably referring to a very specific case of like the collab drama with the person as well, because I was part of it as well.
Yeah,
Oh,
it's just really crazy,
pushing others,
honestly.
pushing others. Imagine, guys, everybody in the chat or watching this video. I am here against my will because Kuura kept harassing me on the DMs to be here for the better. It's like you better be here, Sain, or I'm gonna feel really bad, or I'm gonna tell your artist. And I'm teasing, but
Yeah,
I'm joking.
I'll just tell everyone.
I'm joking.
Sane said she didn't want to be part of my collab, so I'm gonna tell everyone she didn't want to be part of it. They'd all just look at me and go, okay, and
Mm.
like there's ways to go about doing things, and I understand if you want to make something happen. These are now too small for me. I'm gonna fix these. I understand there's ways to go about it, but there's also wrong ways to go about things, and I think this whole thing could have very easily been situated in just a couple conversations over the course of like a week. Very easily.
You're mad. You're insane. I'm looking at you. You're doing all of this in one single layer.
Yeah, this is just the initial line layer, though. Bigger. Oh no, hang on.
It's still crazy. You managed to pull it out of one layer. I would go crazy. I would. I mean, I done liners in one layer as well, but then there's parts of the art that I need to separate in different layers, just in case.
No, and I understand that too. It's mostly the way I work on designs is the initial the initial concept, I guess, kind of like what we really just are planning to go no further than today.
Yes.
I tend to focus more on the symmetrical layers just to kind of make it easy, and then when I go to actually refine the design is when I start really focusing on like, okay, what color should this be? What kind of pose want to look for to emphasize this particular element? This is mostly just trying to get the idea to paper.
Mm-hmm. Very noted.
Of course, because we're going with kits. So stick this. That's it. Get rid of this because this will be over top. I'm actually excited for the next contest that Imagineer decides to announce, because there were like I submitted probably like 13 or 14 designs total over the course of that contest. But there were like 4 or 5 I wanted to submit, but they didn't fit because they had specific rules on dimension size, and I just wasn't able to get them ready in time.
Ah, wow, that's a very specific thing to add to a contest.
Well, it's not really like difficult per se. It's stuff like it just needs the design itself, like the image only needs to be within a certain amount of dimensions, like 2K, like 2000 by 2000 size. When they go to actually do it, so it's not like
your creative process is super fast. Holy crap! I'm here looking at you. I'm like, I'm here seeing you throw these lines on this kitsune that never existed, and you already have it almost done. It's insane. Big respects.
Works. I like this so far for the head and legs.
Ooh. I've always loved the little fluffy details like that. Looks like a fire.
What? Oh, speaking of that, actually, there was something else I was going to do with this.
You know, what if? Hear me out. Hear me out. We can keep the tail like this, or we can make the tail a gun. Duplicate that layer on the liner and erase the tip, and see how it looks with like a giant cannon to shoot a missile from.
Actually, you know what? I have another idea. That's a good one. Hold on, I'm gonna clear this out. I have a really good idea.
Hey, wait, we have it has a hold arm. What if the hold is a net that comes from
That's what I was gonna do. Is my idea. My idea was when you said like make it a gun. I'm like, huh. And the first thing that came to mind was, hey, what if we like wrap the tail around one of the arms or something?
Ooh.
Kind of like a nod to like Foxfire or something.
But what if it's a third cannon? What if,
I mean, hey, that's an idea.
Surprise, so sneaky. Because the kitsunes are known for their sneakiness. So it's like, hey, I'm here with distracting you with my regular missiles, and then all of a sudden the tail shoots the hold element.
Okay, so how about this? So how about this as an idea then? Is we can kind of emulate that same thing, like I said with the brain, work with me, with the idea of the tails wrapping around an arm, but we can do like a 5 or 6 tail on the missile arm, but then it can be holding like I can't think of the term off the top of my head. It's a waving charm in the other hand.
Oh,
like a ceiling talisman.
Oh, that's even better, because that makes sense. Those things are usually known for like their spells to hold back those things, or remove barriers, or either barrier. It's barrier. Yo, that's incredible. Okay, you're a goddamn genius. But you know what? I'm gonna one up that. This is a joke, by the way. When you said the word hold and you kept the word hold in there for some reason, I was thinking, imagine if the nine-tailed fox, the nine-tailed fox had 9 tails and each of them holding a pistol, like a little minigun.
Believe it or not, there's actually some real wild designs that actually do something similar to that. Like, for instance, I'll put it this way, like, Horomorin, as creative as that man was, basically designing almost 60% of the entire roster of Metarots 1 through 5 in-house, are a couple specials that they artists that they had come in, like Mr. Tagro. I have to say, I don't know what he was smoking with half his designs, but they were just off the wall. Like, they were creative, don't get me wrong, they were really well done and creative, but it's just like, how did you consider approaching it like that? Like, it's just so out of left field how he approached it. Like, for instance, a great example actually was one of the recent Orimedas, a World Cup. That's that new toilet type that came out for Meta Survivor. Like, the series has been around for almost 20, the series has been around for like 27 years, and not once has anyone ever come up with the idea for a toilet type at all.
Not the at all. Type.
Like, I kid you not. I've looked at all of them. I've seen them all from the old designs to and I've reviewed the new ones, obviously. No one once has ever considered that as an idea or realized it officially. So it's just crazy how it picked up like that. And I joke around with this in the Metarot S channels in the official server. That model alone, in the span of 2 weeks, has introduced more toilet humor to the Metarot community than any other meme in its history. And honestly, everyone is just loving it. I don't know what the author was thinking when he did, but he made an absolute banger design with that, and it's going to be very well revered for that same reason. Okay, let me see. So I got that. So I
love it. I love them when they have a sense of humor like that, honestly.
This next couple weeks, they're introducing Warbonnet and Smilodon into Meta Survivor, so a couple of very iconic fan favorites. And
when you say Dawn, do you mean like shark related?
I'm sorry?
When you said the word Dawn, do you mean like Megalodon?
No.
Is it shark related?
No, like artists, like artists that they'd be bringing into the series.
Oh, okay.
Because the way that they hold on, that line stays. These lines go. The way that they've emphasized in their marketing Meta Survivor is it's a new endeavor for the series because they've never actually considered a Survivor type game at all. This is a my music just cut off. Hang on. Yes, keep going. It's it's a new endeavor, and albeit people were kind of mixed about it when it first came out because obviously expectations were not well managed properly. I made a whole video on that after like a week of people talking about this was all we got from Metarot Day 2024, and it had a lot of mixed reviews and mixed reception at first. But to me, I'm just gonna go on a tangent real quick. That entire situation I think was just kind of mismanaged with their PR team because they said last year and the year before that they were planning something really big and they've been working on it for a couple years, and to please stay tuned when we're ready to reveal more information about it. So we're like, okay, cool, so you guys have been cooking something up behind the scenes despite the whole trademark lawsuit going on, so we're really excited for that. And they kind of didn't tell us anything further about it. So on one hand, I'm blaming the fans because we're like, we kind of didn't have an idea as what to expect, so we kind of took our imaginations and ran too far with it. So I think part of that is kind of the blame. But then on the other side, I think whoever was managing the PR to keep this whole thing kind of quiet probably could have done a little bit better in the communications department, because if it wasn't something related to, say, like a Metarot 10, which is what people have been begging for years.
Metarot 10? You mean like a new season?
Right, a new mainline title is what people were really wanting to see. But they didn't give us any clues. They just said, it's been in development, please stay tuned for more details. So if they'd mentioned something even earlier on, like say at Metarot Day 2023, and said, it's not a mainline game, but it's a new endeavor that we're considering, I think it probably would have lightened the blow significantly. And people would have been like, okay, well, I don't care much for a Survivor game, but it's still really interesting to see. It probably would have lightened it a little bit, in my personal opinion, anyway. But, no, ever since then, and when it picked up and carried off on its own, it's been pretty successful. Like, they've been introducing some pretty consistent things. Their first major quality of life updates are going live here, I think, tomorrow. And all these big artists that they've introduced in this series over the years, too, is just crazy. Like, there's just a few of the ones I'm just going to mention. Kei Suabi, for instance, who's known for a lot of Fate stuff. The author of Kimono Friends weighed in and made their own design.
Yo, Kimono Friends, let's go.
Yeah, the author of Gundam IDO, of all people. One of the designers of Macross weighed in and made a design. Like, they're pulling out the stops for all these artists that they're having coming in. So it's really great to see all of this and what they're doing with it. And I'm interested to see where they're going to be going. So on one hand, I'm like, well, I'm not super enthused on the idea that they're bringing a couple of already established characters into Survivor, but at the same time, like, alright, well, they're probably going to use this as a filler week, and we'll see how things look in like 2 weeks.
Oh my gosh.
But honestly, though, I've been enjoying it. It's a really neat little game that you can honestly just play on like a on like just a chatting stream, and just
now I'm curious to know. Now I'm curious. You know all this information. I'm assuming that there are other. I feel like I asked this before, but I'm assuming there's other circles in the community of Medarot, like, you know, putting more input, or are you taking all of this from overseas?
What do you mean in that respect?
I mean, like, you know, where do you get your info? Do you like most of the time when I get my info, I watch a YouTube video and I'm like,
yeah. So I get all my information from the official source. So they have the official Metarot YouTube channel where they post updates every Tuesday, and that's where I get all my news.
Gotcha.
So every Tuesday, now obviously they do it super early in the morning, so I can't be there instantly. I think the only time I actually made a stream on time, and I almost didn't sleep for the whole thing, was was for Medarot Day 2024. I actually was awake at like 4 in the morning, and I'm like, all right, well, since I'm awake, I may as well just stay awake and keep going for it.
That sounds about right.
But otherwise, I'm like, no, they stream it, so it's going to be there anyway. I may as well just enjoy my sleep, and I'll go look at it later.
Wow. No, it's impressive all you do with all this and how you get all this information.
Well, I also have a lot of friends that are proficient in Japanese, or I have a lot of Japanese friends that help me out too, and when they weigh in on the official channels, they say the same thing, like just kind of confirming information, or if I'm not sure on the name of a part or a skill, there's like a whole discussion on it between the hours of like 7 and 10 in the morning, I think, in Eastern time, where they were talking about it.
Mm-hmm.
And by the time I wake up and I finally see all that information, I'm like, oh, cool, so it's already here. That makes life easy for me. So all I have to do is just trim everything down and just make it look pretty for my presentations. A long sleeve on here.
Oh gosh. Long sleeve. Oh! Honestly, it's looking nice.
Just from another angle here.
I can see myself. Honestly, speaking of, I did mention earlier that I was gonna Google like Fox, not Fox, Kitsune Medarot, and I saw one called Foxuno.
Yes, one of the originals from the OG days.
Yeah, Foxuno. I'm gonna be real. I know as an artist, comparing it's like sometimes taboo, but I also would want to respect the designs. The Foxuno looks very plain. It doesn't scream Kitsune a lot. It looks more like a knight.
So the interesting thing about Foxuno, also known as Aburage, is I think it was mostly lore, more heavily lore based than design based, because his design is actually of a humanoid shape wearing a hakama.
Yes, I can see that. I can see the element that it's like, it's not more. It's less Kitsune and more. There's an influence. There's a blood element to it, but it's more of what you said. It feels like more oriented in like an armor piece. Like the inspiration, there's more clothing piece in it, because even some of the shoulder pads and the arm braces, they feel like wooden pieces. This is some kind of like contraption that got put together. And I know there's a lot of, oh my gosh, what is the name? For some reason, there's a lot of like Japanese folk stories that had to do with like puppetry or like wooden contraptions. Everyone I felt like at some point, I've always been fascinated by this. Like, like the fact that there's a lot of like wooden contraption that almost look like future technology, but just made out of wood. Right. Does that make sense?
Right.
When I describe it like that? Because there's what is it called? It's like all the puppets, all the gimmicks, all the traps they used to make back in the day for to defend themselves against like in wars or just to throw away throw anything, any challenge at an opponent, or maybe just for the art of the craft. People created like the most bizarre things in the universe when it comes to like wooden contraptions, anything with needles and poisons, and that's what I'm looking at in this Foxuno, because I see there's like wooden boxes on the shoulders, and it also has claws, and I can see, and it's like, oh, I can see the elements of all of this being together. It kind of reminds me of like some things that I've seen in Naruto, and also some things that I've seen in like Mystical Ninja Goemon.
I think the big justification, and the big thing I can probably mention on it, is the fact that something to note is that Aburage was first introduced in the original Medarot 1. He was part of the original roster. So a lot of, and I actually interviewed the translation team that did the Medarot 1 and Medarot 3 translations. They joke around about it. We joked around about it, but they said, oh no, you're 100% serious. To say that Medarot 1, the concept anyway, worked on duct tape and prayers was an understatement. It was, if you play, even playing Medarot 2 Core, which is the English game we have, you go back and play 1, and it's, according to them, extremely clunky. The base concepts are still there, but there's a lot of things that were either missing or just not present because it was considered a new concept or a new mechanic. It was very clunky, and because it was very clunky, very likely they probably took it as a way to experiment. So that'd be my guess on it anyway. I actually have a better idea for this.
Are you familiar with someone? I'm noticing that there's a lot of inputs in the wiki, done by the creator named Quick. Are you familiar with this individual?
Quick?
Yes. In the Metarod's wiki. I'm looking here. Metabots Quick wiki.
Okay, I was gonna say, are you on the wiki or are you on the Metapedia?
Oh, the wiki.
Okay.
Let me send you the link just in case. I don't mean to distract you with random facts, but
no,
this is
fine.
also.
No, that's fine. I actually need to stretch my neck a little bit too while I'm at it.
I'm kind of a curious fox. I love going through rabbit holes and learning.
Let's see.
So they seem to have put a lot of inputs into this wiki as well.
Yeah,
they even put a photo of like a figurine for folks to know. I'm like, whoa, they have a figure of this dude, and it's like in that good quality.
Yeah, let me see. If you want to send me a link to that, I can take a look at it real quick.
I did. I mean, I took I sent you the link of the person.
No, I don't see it.
Oops, I sent it to the wrong person.
Oops. Oops. You're probably gonna be looking at this going, I'm sorry, what is this?
Oops. I was like, there we go.
Okay, let me look. That's wiki. Okay, yeah. So I'm not on this wiki very often. This is another one of the main ones that we run, but the main one that's mostly managed by Project Rising Beetle is the Metapedia, and it may not be as 100% up to date as say someone else, but it's where most of the information tends to sit and where a lot of these other wiki pages tend to pull from. Look here. Okay.
Have you made contributions in this one?
Every here and there. It's been a really long time since the last time I worked on an update for something like the wiki, since I don't work on that project very often. There's a handful of people that do and take it more seriously, and I just kind of stay in my lane and let them work on it because they're more what's the word?
Devoted?
Yes, that's close enough to the word I was looking for, but they're more dedicated to the role of setting up the wiki and working on it.
No, understandable. I think devoted is the wrong word too. Because if anyone here is devoted to the craft, is you'll definitely do an amazing job at it.
Well, I like to think I do anyway.
I think we all agree. Anyone who has collabed with you is like, oh my goodness, this is like incredible. So much love and care.
Well, I noticed there was a need since nobody else really talked about it all that much. I'm like, well, if no one's gonna do it, I may as well. So I learned content creation 101 and thought I'd do it myself.
Hell yes.
Works. I don't know if I'm gonna make it a full 9-tailed, but it'll be close.
Yeah, I mean, do all kitsunes have the 9 tails? I don't think they do. I think
it's the most iconic and the most known. Based on what I recall of yokai lore, they gain a tail basically for like every 100 years or 1,000 years that they're alive or something. And then when they reach 9, it's like ultimate nirvana. Like they're considered a celestial. I don't quite remember how the lore goes. Someone may have to correct me on that one.
Yes. No, I totally get it. I seen that one.
But it's something along those lines.
Kind of nervous on the design on that. So are you gonna make the tail wrap around the arm?
I'm gonna work on it when I get to the shoulder. I have an idea for the arm itself.
The barrels are huge.
Well, just wait till I get to it real quick, because I have an idea for it. I'm gonna try to incorporate it into the arm. Exactly the way I wanted to go about it, but for a rough concept, I'll make it work. Not gonna be going exactly for a sleek design, but I'll have an idea.
That's fine.
Also, with the way heavy has been defined in more recent games, it can be extremely deceptive what counts as a heavy part and what doesn't.
Oh.
There's some models where you're looking at going, how can you possibly have 3 heavy parts when you don't even look like you weigh like 10 pounds?
Oh my goodness. You just reminded me of something else about another gacha game. So, for some reason, I tried wrapping my head, and the same with the community. I'm not sure if you're familiar with a little game called Fire Emblem.
I'm familiar with it. I tried getting into it, but I just haven't had luck finding one yet.
It's fair. Well, I was specifically gonna talk about like the gacha one, like the Fire Emblem Heroes.
Okay.
So
yeah, I know of it.
So in the Fire Emblem Heroes, for some reason, you know, this is fair to talk about because you mentioned something like, hey, a character, it's a, you know, kind of like 3 heavy parts and nothing looks heavy, or maybe barely anything looks heavy on it. So, and for some reason, at some point in the games, you know, like the character roster, you know, because there are different types of units in Fire Emblem. Fire Emblem is usually known for like, hey, if a unit is riding like a vehicle or an animal, like a horse, it's usually considered like cavalry. You know, like it moves like three spaces.
I think I have an idea of where you're going. That where they look like a unit or behave like a unit, but they're not counted as a unit.
Yeah. So, and then if a unit doesn't have anything and it's walking in like 2 feet, you know, in their own legs, it's usually like a, you know, it's an infantry. It's just a standard mobility. But if the unit is wearing like a heavy piece of armor or a heavy weaponry, it is considered a heavy armor. Right. And it's almost like the tank character, but it has like the logo on the mobility. It's the one of the tank. It's usually in every Fire Emblem game. It's given to the tank, you know, not the tank, but the knight with the heavy armor, and usually known to be a heavyweight character. However, there was a seasonal banner that was like a Christmas one, and every character in that seasonal banner except for one, they were all heavy armors, and people were like, "Huh, why is this heavy?" Oh, because they're all carrying like the entire like Christmas spirit in them, so they're all heavy armors.
You know what? I'd take that answer. I'd take that answer. Why is it you're considered heavy? Because I'm carrying the entire team here. You know what? I'll accept that answer.
And then there was another seasonal banner. I think it was like a beach unit. So one of the characters was literally just a waifu in a bikini, Tarja, and then she was a tank unit, but a heavy armor. I was like, how are you tank unit with barely wearing? You're wearing the least clothing. It's literally a bathing suit.
Behold, anime power.
And also people just started thinking like, hey, heavy armor doesn't no longer means how heavy a character can be, but how they are able to move, how much they can move. And this character, you know, is barely moving, so we're gonna consider it this and give it the stats as such. So she's like the most offensive, like bikini wearing this waifu of all time, and she can barely, you know, she can barely walk as a unit, but she has a defensive one. She doesn't look like one, but she is a heavy unit. Yeah. So it's always funny to see that, and they just kept it rolling. You know, after some point, they just stopped caring. They literally stopped caring what the character looked like, and they just started pointing like, "Hey, like, this okay,
what is
heavy.
it? Like, what is it? It's a heavy character. All right, cool." And they don't even argue it.
They no longer argue it. And then sometimes, at some point, like even the units that were like flying units, they are no longer writing anything at all. And sometimes it's just a character that knows, oh, this character in lore knows levitation. Okay, this is a flying unit. And
exactly. Yeah, I mean,
they stop caring.
Yeah, I mean, even for a lot of the units in Medarot too, there's a lot of them where they designate them as, say, like, float-legged. And by float-legged, it usually means there's like a 50-50 chance sometimes it could be keyword bipedal, like it's just floating on 2 legs. Fine, we get it. But they make a whole bunch of, like, especially like the collaboration units that are designed to be like really special. And of course I understand you want to make them better or stronger than others. I understand that, but there's also ones where they're like, I understand this guy has 2 legs, but why is he floating? Like, what is the justification here?
Yeah. Oh my gosh. No, we will never know, honestly, at this point. I mean, it's just whatever they want.
We've learned just to kind of roll with it.
Frick it, we're rolling.
You know, if it's a new character, it's got great skills, you know what, we'll make it work.
I guess, why not? Ooh. Also, you're putting the tails inside of the cannons?
Yeah. Tail cannon.
Oh, it's a tail cannon. You know what? I'll take it. Tail cannon.
There's been weirder.
It reminds me of like a lot of Pokemon. Exactly what we're talking about. Like you would think like, hey, here's a mod Pokemon. It's a flying type. Nope, it's poison bug because we can't fit a 3rd typing in there. So we gotta deal with it.
Yeah, exactly.
You can still hit it with like ground type moves. It's like, oh. They started putting levitate to some of those abilities, to some of the Pokemon. And then it's even with the abilities, like some of them still don't get the benefit of having levitate.
Yeah, no. I mean, one of my mains I will always use in every team no matter what, even if he is horrendously out of date, is Claydol. I will not take I will not take any slander from my boy Claydol at all.
No, Claydol's great.
I know he's not the most meta breaking at all, and his typing is not the greatest either. I get it, okay? I understand how to build a competitive team. I've been doing it in Metarot for like 5 years. I know what works and what doesn't, but at the same time, if you acknowledge they're not really good and you try to find ways around it, you can still make it work. Like Claydol, for instance, great example, you know, Psychic Ground, it's very easy to counter. It's not going to be like it's not the hardest thing to kill, but you do also have to acknowledge that Claydol's also very solid overall as far as defense is concerned. So if you know how to build a Claydol right, you don't go for an offense type build like you would anything else. You load him up on defense with skills like Reflect and Mirror Guard to help buff the team's defense. So when he dies or when he goes down, the team is still going to have all those defense buffs.
Oh yeah,
even several turns.
Claydol is quite defensive.
Even after he's gone, he's still assisting the team. And a lot of people argue, well, just use Bronzong because he's steel psychic with better typing. Okay, fine, I'll give you that one. He is, but still, it's a preference. Okay, so here's what I've got so far for the initial sketch. What do you think so far?
Oh, I'm loving it, honestly. Wow, the fact that you were able to cook this in an hour, it's insane to me.
Are we sitting at an hour?
While chatting too.
I lost track. Oh, we haven't gone about
it is
an hour. Wow, that doesn't feel like it.
No, it feels like 10 minutes, and you cooked this real good. Honestly, what the hell?
Well, now comes the fun part, is figuring out a color swatch for it.
Ooh, the fun part. That's a. Ooh.
We still got to figure. We got to figure out a color swatch, and then maybe a name for this one.
What kind of color combo do you usually go for? Do you go for like the 4 route and synchronize all together with color theory, or do you just go with your instincts?
Kind of depends on the theme. Since we kind of went with a yokai with a kitsune, we could go with white with maybe like a stark red as your contrasting color, and then possibly accent it with, say, like with gold or similar colors.
Yeah, that's usually the standards. And maybe if you're feeling fancy, throw a bit of black in some of the belts or something like that, right? Or yeah. I don't know. I remember how it goes with the.
So what I could do. First, let's start here. I'll work my way down.
Very powerful design. Honestly, I'm in love with it.
I dig it. I would grade it pretty well.
I love it. If you have the chance, submit this in some time. In one of those, like, if they're asking for submissions, like I'm so down for the.
Oh, next contest? Yeah, I'll clean this up. I'll give it part names and I'll give it part names and cleaned up real nice and send it in. I actually did that with. I actually helped Helm Chan with that one too, with her design. Heatsmith from the contest we had late last year. She was one of the winners for that one, and I gave her.
Nice.
I gave her a transparent of the render, and said, yeah, if you want to submit it for the document or for the contest, here's essentially a couple of the rules to keep in mind. And they went back and cleaned it up. Put it in. I think I actually wrote it in Japanese because I like to do two versions, one in EN, one in JP. And they cleaned it up, modified it, and put a signature on theirs, and they submitted it for the contest. And I think, actually... No, actually, Heatsmith did get featured by Mr. Unohei, because when he was going back over the designs, he actually stopped on Heatsmith. So Helm-chan got a little bit of a shout-out in that contest as well. One thing I don't understand, though, this is what kind of threw me off about it. That's a different color. One thing that kind of threw me off is out of all the designs that Mr. Unohei was showcasing, he featured a lot of them, and I think his goal was to hit all of them. I get it. I designed for the contest at some point. I actually designed very specifically a set of designed to be a pair. I had a Bonnie and Clyde type design that I put together. I think I may have shown those to you. And did I show those to you? I don't think I did.
Almost sounds familiar, but you said Bonnie and Clyde. I'm like, oh, okay, hold on. What a nice little reference.
Yeah, let me grab those real quick for you, real quick. And I had a lot of fun with those two actually. I went into the lore of it, kind of figuring out guns that they liked using, during their zenith, some of the names they went by. I did my research. I did my homework on it. And Mr. Unohei highlighted Gunman Clyde, which was one of the two, but I didn't see Thief Bonnie thrown in there. I'm like, why highlight one without the other, man? Come on.
I'm very curious to know. This is outside the topic we're talking about right now. But in Clip Studio Paint, is there a way to even if it's in a different layer, you can drop the bucket on specific spots?
I have not figured that out yet.
Yeah, there's a layering.
Yeah, being completely honest, I have not figured it out.
There's outline detection on, because I use that on Krita, and it's a lifesaver. You can just you can do it your own way, and you can learn it later. But there's a little toggle it has to be right there. And if you click that, if you use the painting, the bucket painting tool, it's going to drop it immediately on the outline, regardless of the layer that it's on.
I will have to explore with that. I was thinking the whole time, I really wish there was a setting for this, but I just never got around to figuring out where it was. So I will have to do some research and figure out where that is. I'm definitely not a CS Paint master. I never profess myself to be, but if you know where it is, or if you have a clue for something like that, to look for, I will happily go do so.
Okay.
Because a lot of my standard arts, I don't make a lot of small ones that are under 1920 by 1080. I mean, this canvas alone is 2K. It's 2K by 2K. So I do a lot of very high resolution stuff. So if I could find that as a shortcut somewhere, that definitely would be great. Here's my brush set. But since I also like to work with very thick lines typically, I guess it kind of balances itself back out. Try to figure this out one piece at a time. Add the red next. What kind of color should we do for the eyes for the mask? Any preference? I'm thinking like a gold or a blue.
The eye. Wow, I was literally about to say a blue, kind of like the blue on my hair.
Kind of like a sky blue.
Kind of. It has to be a tone that is like really light. Can be like a dark blue, almost blue, almost white, because you know it will make it more, you know, more glowy. I think so, right? Does that make sense?
Maybe something kind of like this.
Yeah, I mean, keep that there, and then see how you feel about it later.
Let's see something. Okay. Well, my idea was I was gonna make the eyes gold. I was gonna make the eyes gold colored when I get down the face.
No, you know that too makes sense.
Actually, I like the idea. Let's do the hair black. What are your thoughts on that?
Black hair
as a contrast.
Um,
Or do you think we should do another color?
Maybe gold.
Go gold?
Yeah, kind of gold. You know the same gold that you put here, the Bonnie and Clyde. You know the eyes of Bonnie.
Okay.
That kind of gold.
Do that then.
It's kind of like an orangey.
Kind of like that.
Kind of deal.
Kind of like a flaxen blonde.
Yeah. Mo, that's very Berry Kitsune color. Very fox like.
I was thinking a color similar to this actually for the eyes, but I can always make that like a brighter gold. I had an idea for those.
Oh.
I had an idea to make it a little more unique. Part of an off side. There. In the meantime, I'm gonna propose another challenge to you, Sain. Something you can do something you can research on the side. Is
okay.
What is?
Lay it on me.
Well, two challenges, but let's tackle this one at a time. What is a 3-letter model ID that you would personally suggest for this model, based on its theme?
A 3-letter model ID?
Because the way they designate and classify Metarots is by a 3-letter ID. For instance, Metabi is considered a Kabuto, or KBT type.
Oh, okay, yeah, I had a feeling it would be like that. Would it be really lazy to just go with like the initial 3 letters, like Kit?
No.
Or is that?
No, that's definitely one way people do it. In fact, what you could also consider, as we went Kitsune, is you could also consider it as part of the original Kitsune line, which is KTN.
That makes sense.
Or if you'd rather this one stand apart by itself, we can do that too.
No, but actually go with the line, make it part of the family at that point.
So we can do KTN. Absolutely.
That sounds good to me.
Alright, so then the other thing that we can do is figure out what to do for the for the model name. Like what's this thing gonna be called, you know, if it were being sold on the market?
Oh my gosh, that is a even I haven't come up with a name for myself. Fun fact, did you know that the name Saint Cisco is it's a username that I've been using like on the internet for like the past 10 years?
It's honestly crazy how people come up with their usernames for such, you know?
I wish I could have rebranded that name for a long time ago. 9 out of 10. Thank you for the rating, Android. That's a good rating. It's good. But yeah, like going back to the name, I was always having trouble. I used to think that I was a creative person until I became a VTuber.
Yeah, it's honestly amazing too, all the different like feedbacks and styles and approaches that you take to things. Like with you being a V host, you know, what you do is you do a lot of game stuff on your side, but you also have a lot of people come in and collab, and you just give a chance to kind of let them have the floor and talk about themselves. There's a million and one different ways to do it. There's no wrong way, well, aside from being mean to people, but you know, there's no wrong way of approaching how to do a interview style of collabs or VTubing. There's no wrong way to do it. So what makes it unique is the fact that you have a style that makes your streams you, but then you might find another V host and they find the way that they do their streams, and you're like, huh, that's a really unique way. I never thought of doing it like that. And you might even consider assimilating what you learned into your streams. That's actually how I learned half the stuff that I do.
Oh, you know what?
I find all these
Fair.
other big ones, and I'm like, oh, that's a really unique way of doing it. And I just assimilated it into mine. So it just goes to show that there's always unique ways. Oh, I turned the ruler off. There's always unique ways to approach VTubing, and that's honestly one thing I really like about it. Is there's no wrong way to do it, and there's 1,000,001 ways to do the same thing everyone else is doing, but also make it stand apart so that you are who you are. Because that's the most important thing ultimately, is, you know, what makes you stand out from, say, every other V-host VTuber on the net.
Wow, you're more professional about this than I could ever be. Usually, I just come up with stuff on the fly.
That's actually what I do as well. I'm literally just throwing things together. I'm like, huh, I like the way this looks. I like this. I'm like planning for it in this way. I like this style. No, I'm not a fan of that one. Ooh, I like this effect. Let's use this one. It's just nonstop, one after the other.
ADHD in a nutshell. Like, yeah, my secret technique is using my ADHD, but I weaponize it.
Weaponizing your weaknesses, love it.
Yeah, no, and sometimes I become super devoted to like the million craft that I'm trying to do it all at once. Even if I don't remember exactly how they all came up together, I try to just go in and I lock in. Even if I get super distracted, I'm still trying to like multitask all the elements that I need to do as a VTuber. 100%. Whether it's like organizing a collab or preparing a plan, preparing a skit, thinking about what YouTube video to do next, going to the places I need to do for networking, coming up with like the next kind of content that I want to do. I've been to a lot of different drives. Like sometimes I want to be an artist, sometimes I want to be an ASMR artist, or sometimes I just want to genuinely just do a lot of that stuff.
And a lot of those can be really lucrative if you know what you're doing too. I've got a buddy of mine that's he's kind of in a situation where work is obviously just like draining him. Like every time he comes home, he just passes out and doesn't want to do much more. And I get that. But he also mentions, you know, how he just really wants to quit or leave with everything that's going on. And I've mentioned, you know, as a possibility, hey, just as an idea, what you could consider is looking into, like, say, live 2D rigging. And I've mentioned that to him before. I've even sent tutorials for him to check out. It's a pain in the neck to figure out, coming from someone who self-taught himself 3D modeling. And there's a lot of stuff I just can't wrap my head around because it's just stuff I have to sit there and really think about. But if once you understand how to do it and you know the process, you will almost never not be without work. Because there's always going to be someone who needs a rigging service in some form or capacity. And the better you get at it, the more clientele that you get to see. So there's definitely a whole bunch of different ways to do it.
Of course. Honestly, I'm always like, I try a lot of stuff. The reason I'm so passionate about trying so many things, of course, is because when I started becoming a VTuber, I became super infatuated with everything that I needed to do. I mean, infatuated is the right word, but maybe it doesn't make sense in this sentence. I genuinely just I've been wanting to make content for the longest time. I've been wanting, you know, be part of like the YouTube atmosphere. The same thing with the Let's Players or the people who make skits, funny skits, or movies or music or everything. And I'm like, with VTubing as an avenue, I will try and tackle all of this. And that's pretty much what a lot of people do. But I wanted to go at it in an extreme way. I know that's cutting yourself short in some corners, but in some ways. But at the same time, you know, I'm in an age where I'm like, hey, I feel like I kind of missed out on all of this. How about I give it a try to all of it?
YOLO, basically.
And yeah, basically, yeah.
I mean, honestly,
and this is what
that's kind of the way to do it sometimes. I mean, when I first decided I was going to stream, I've been trying to talk myself into it for like 4 years up to that point. And then finally one day, you know, 2-something years, 3-something years into my career as a VTuber, I'm like, you know what? I'm just gonna do it. I'm just gonna do it. I'm not even gonna give myself time to plan. I'm just gonna do it. Just don't think about it because you're gonna talk yourself out of it. Just do it. So I threw a shotgun stream and kind of been doing it since.
No,
because
that's amazing.
I'm an overthinker, and I'm as you've mentioned, I'm over prepared for things. And if I I can talk myself into a circle with things to the point I don't get anything done. Because I think and I think and I think and I overthink, and by the time I finally realize, wait, stop thinking about it, I don't want to do it anymore.
Oh my gosh.
I mean, all through this point too, in the last couple months, I've been slacking on trying to put my 4-year anniversary video together. Because I made last year's my 3-year anniversary one too, because I can't afford anyone to make a fancy one for me. And I couldn't figure out how to translate it when I go into DaVinci. I'm like, okay, cool. I kind of have a plan. I need to make the things for this element and this element. And then I sit down and stare at Clip Studio, and I get nothing done for like an hour.
I think I came up with a name for this you know, for this specific Orimeda.
Okay.
Does this sound cheesy to you? How about naming the character? How about naming it Cubicle? Cubicle. I found some meaning to it. There's it can be a pun, but it can not a pun, but you know, like if you split the word in a certain way, it can mean like, you know, what the word used for fox, nine-tailed fox, and also the word used for something that is young spirited, because it looks very young. It looks very like someone in despite of all the weaponry, the way you portrayed it was very young and spirited, or forever young, because it, you know, the kitsunes are known to live for a long time, so forever young. It's also kind of an idea behind it. So Cubicle kind of fits that, you know. Kyubi from Naruto, which is the nine-tailed fox, but then
so I'm going to assume you're spelling this Kyubico, right?
KO at the end.
KO. Okay.
KO. Cubicle.
Surprisingly enough, that actually could work, because the only other rule, for lack of a better term, I was going to say is when you run it as Japanese, it needs to try to stay under 8 characters.
Ooh.
That's one of the other really big things that they emphasize with Orimeda designs, is if you look at all the ones, it needs to stay under characters for sake of space. And Cubico, the way you wrote it, is 5 characters. So it could work. So it looks like we got a name for this one.
Yippee!
Power teamwork. We can make this happen.
I guess. You're actually right. Look, I just wrote it under under translator, and it kind of fits. Cubico.
So, question: what kind of translator do you use?
I'm just using the standard Google, but then it read it perfectly.
So I have an interesting one I'm going to throw your way, and I love networking this when we're possible, because I've been using it for years, especially with my content. Have you ever looked into DeepL?
DeepL? I see it right here in the first one.
So here's the really neat thing I've discovered on DeepL, is Google Translate works, and it works in a pinch if you need it, but if you're trying to translate a phrase for context or for a very specific type of wording or spelling, it probably may not give you the most consistent result, especially if you're trying to translate back and forth to make sure that you understand it. However, with DeepL, I found it to be far more accurate and consistent and thorough. So if you run something in English and then run it to Japanese and then run it back to English or even into another language, it's still going to keep the core essence of what you're trying to say with contextual with context of any sentence that you throw in it.
Okay.
I use it for almost everything, especially with machine translating when I speak with my Japanese friends. So,
Aww.
that's my little plug for DeepL. I'm not sponsored, but no, highly recommend giving
I'll look
it a
into it. I'll look into it. I'm actually in NEVER right now, trying to see how it works. It's giving me a prompt for like better writing with DeepL right in English American.
I actually have it as an extension on my Google Chrome. Like, it's great because
Really?
because I have a lot of Japanese people that I follow and that I speak with on Twitter. So what's nice about the extension is when I go to open a post, it'll sometimes give me a prompt underneath it, say like translate this image, translate this text, and it'll pull up a whole separate window that'll be translated through DeepL. So I highly recommend checking it out for stuff if you ever need to translate to other languages. I love using it, and it makes what I do, especially with translating from Japanese into English, a whole lot easier. Honestly, don't know where I'd be without half of it if I didn't have that. I want to learn Japanese properly, but I just keep getting sidetracked with it.
That's fair. Honestly, even people who live in Japan for the longest time, like with the recent boom of like content creators, I was watching like Connor CWA, and he knows plenty of Japanese, but once in a while he has to like just refer to translators, or it's just easier to with his lucrative business, he just always carry around someone who can possibly translate for him.
Right.
But for the most, he can defend himself in many conversations. But when it's like something that's like way too deep, it's like, okay, no, I'm gonna need a translator for this one.
Oh, I 100% agree. There's only a certain point where unless you're fluent in the language, you are gonna kind of fall behind. And honestly, like I said, I love talking about DeepL like that because it's great. And even at my old sales job, I actually used it a handful of times with a lot of our Spanish-speaking customers that were not fluent in English. And it was such a lifesaver because instead of having to hope and pray that one of our bilingual associates was there that day and essentially give them the sale because I don't speak Spanish, obviously, we could converse on a tablet that translates most of what they're trying to say fairly consistently. And it only takes just a few seconds longer to type it out.
It's looking nice, honestly. I noticed you changed the middle part to red as well.
Yes, because I noticed that I was gonna have too much red bleeding on each other from other pieces of the design. So I wanted to spread it out with the gold a little bit.
Okay.
Was my idea.
Very fair.
Was like a tail missile, like I mentioned earlier. Kind of like surrounding the hand here.
Are you gonna make the tips like white?
Yes, that's the plan.
Shooting the tails.
Yep. I'll never see it coming.
Or can they hide? Can they hide the entire arm, or can they swap the arm for a regular arm?
Yeah. Honestly, I still can't believe I got all this done in like an hour, though. We're doing pretty solid.
Honestly, yeah. Are you going over for one more, or are you going to go for two more?
We'll try one more, because if it took us about an hour to get to this point with just initial design and scaling, I don't want to take like 3 hours of your time working on this.
Understandable.
So after we finish with Cubico, we'll probably do one more.
I guess. I'm very interested, because next one, you said you didn't want it to be bipedal also, right?
Yes, I want to try to do one that's not bipedal.
Hell yes.
There's a lot of bipedal types, and it's a really easy one to make. So I want to try to challenge it with something different.
Okay, yeah, thank you for catering to my wishes on the initial one, honestly. This has been so fun and so educational.
Well, I try to make sure that everyone feels included. It's like I mentioned in one of my other streams is, if my guests aren't having fun, because when I host, it's on me to make sure people are having fun. And if they're not, or if they're bored, or they're not contributing
I'm
much,
having the most fun.
Yeah, if you guys aren't having fun, then I'm not having a successful stream, and I want to
I'm
make sure
invested. I've been doing my own research. I've been doing it. Honestly, I've been so locked in. Hell, even I am like looking up like Clip Studio little techniques and everything to see if I can give you that answer
Yeah,
after
exactly.
the stream.
Because now that you kind of have an idea and you're kind of locked in and you're in the mood, you could probably sit here, you know, and play around with the generator for like 30 minutes and find, oh, I like this design. What's it do? And check and follow the link to the master skill sheet and say, okay, what does this kit do exactly? And if it gives you something like, say, you know, rifle, missile, and beam sword, you're like, okay, let me go see what those do. And then you find out it gives it a leg ability that's like really synergetic as an all-rounder. You're like, ooh, I could play around with this. What kind of theme should I give it? And now you're, you know, suddenly, you know, 2-3 hours later, you have a completely original design that you made with your own brain.
I know. I've been wanting to draw for so bad, but all the plans that have been going on, that's just keeping me behind a little bit.
Definitely understandable. Well, if you ever want to try to host something else like this sometime with like with an Orimeda stream or whatever, I'm absolutely down for coordinating another one. Because I was my idea was I wanted to try to, you know, try it as like an experiment and see how it would work. Because if it's just me mostly like drawing it the whole time, I'm thinking, okay, what can I do to make sure my guests stay involved with this the whole time? But so far, I hope you're having a lot of fun. I'm really glad that you are enjoying yourself.
Hell yes,
too.
heck yes, honestly, and all the people who have stopped by as well, super appreciate it. Honestly, I appreciate everybody who has been stopping by.
Yes.
I saw someone sending me a message that, hey, I was just there for a little bit, or someone just saying, I'm gonna check it out in a little bit. All these ideas are pretty cool. I appreciate that. And someone here in the chat also saying, I still need to I still need to learn myself about editing and drawing. But that's why I'm watching everyone stream from that city. So I appreciate that so much. Direct from that city. Hell yeah, baby.
Actually, you know
cool
what?
ideas for the minerals? Hell yes.
Actually, you know what? Looking at the gold now, I like the idea of the blue better. Let's give it blue instead.
It blends too much with the entire body.
Yeah,
like the gold.
I was gonna go with like a gleaming gold kind of thing that would like stand in the dark, but looking at it with the flaxen, it kind of blended too much. Let's try...
Do you feel like maybe one of the eyes, like for example the ones on the hat, need to change? Because now it looks like 4 eyes from a distance. Like make it shrink it.
Well, I have an idea actually, and they started doing this with a lot of the more recent designs. See if I can figure out how I...
Oh, is this gonna throw it off? For some reason, my brain is telling me to like, can you splash pink on the eyes and then undo and see how it looks? At least I mean, on the top eyes, on the eyes of the mask.
Okay.
What if they were pink?
Do pink?
No, the eyes on the mask. You know, not the eyes on the face, but the eyes on the mask. What if they were pink? For some reason, I don't know why.
I could see it. Well, my idea was I was going to actually give proper pupils to the actual eyes. So while say the eyes on the mask might still glow, the true eyes would actually still have a working pupil. That was my idea.
What kind of pupil? I like the ones. You mean like the kind of pupil? I'll let you cook and then I'll see how it looks. Because some minerals have like the full, like it just looks like the what stands for the pupil. It's more like the glow in the crystal.
I'm kind of like that essentially.
Let's see.
What I could do is go for more like a slit pupil kind of design.
I like the one with no pupils.
No pupil?
For some reason, you know how Metavi has them. You know, it's just
kind of
pure...
like a visor.
Yeah, because for some reason that fits the Kitsune vibe.
I want to try to put something. Okay. See if I can try to make it a little more subtle. Okay, not that subtle. Go.
I got Mega Man music in my head, I swear.
Maybe something kind of like that.
Yeah.
Let me do one more thing on. Oh, I have this. There. Oh, no, wait, hold on. Two.
Yeah. Looking nice. Also, what a nice little touch to give it like pointy ears. It kind of feels more humanoid.
I'd say we still accomplished the goal.
No, I mean, it looks amazing, honestly. This actually looks like a legitimate design. Like, what the hell?
I mean, I'd use it.
I would too, honestly. I love this.
Okay, so let me throw this here. Just have it. Put my art tablet aside for a minute. So, what we say was we're gonna put it in the KTN line. So KTN 01.
Cubico.
I'll figure out part names for it a little farther down
Yeah.
the line.
No problem.
We had Rebirth. Old Missile, Flaghead, and Meltdown. Make that a little smaller. Because Bells is a triple heavy. HV.
Oh my gosh. Bipedal meltdown. With all the info in there. You lose no time with this.
Well, I used to actually handwrite this with a lot of my older ones. I'm going to try typesetting with this here and see if it makes any difference.
The love for the craft is unreal. Biggest respect, honestly.
And if only Imagineer would acknowledge me. That's the only thing I'm waiting on. I'm kidding. Mostly.
No, you're good. You're good.
Go. That,
You put the little signature on the.
Of course I would.
Well,
of course I would. This is your design too.
Aw. Oh, I appreciate it. That's really humbling.
Save this real quick.
That's kind of like a watermark.
Yeah, because you always got to sign
Softly.
your stuff. ATM01. Oh, but I'm happy with it. It came out real nice.
I loved it, honestly.
I'll make it transparent later that you can use if you want to post it somewhere.
Heck yeah, no, I mean, just share it in the group, and honestly, I'll keep it there, and I'll save it from there.
I'm gonna save all three of these layers too, just easy to pull. There. We already have a template for a.
Oh dear lord. I don't mean to sound like I'm plugging in something, but I suddenly went to Twitter because I saw and then one of my posts suddenly exploded, and I need to revise everything that's going on here.
All right. So now we have our template set up for the next one. So let me look back here. Let's see. I'm only just now looking at my chat 'cause I've been working on this the whole time. Okay.
Oh snap! There we go, baby. If this is for the second one,
Yes. So we have
So,
your second result,
we're
your
skipping?
third result.
the third result, because
do the
the
third
second one, yeah, the second one. So the first theme on the order of the images,
Okay.
one was animal and the other one said humanoid. The third, I chose the theme of fantasy, and that one has the leg
This-
ability, super armor and float. So is it gonna have no legs?
This, it could. It could go completely legless. It could go with a pair of legs or a single leg or tail. It doesn't matter. We could absolutely make this work, and this is a nice kit right here. We could have some fun with this one. All right.
It sounds explosive at the same time. It's got the CG bluster, whatever that means, and the burn blast.
We can have some fun with this one.
Yeah. Skip the humanoid. As much as I want to see sexy robot waifu or husbando, the fantasy one also sounds ideal.
Actually, let me hold on this real quick. Let me show you one that I've been working on as well on the side. I need to go back and
I like
actually
the
finish.
train ones that you showed me. The
Well, let me
train ones were so cute.
Well, let me show you one that I've actually been working on. I put her down for a while, and I want to go back and finish her. This is a design that another friend gave me, or through my generator, and said that they want to see happen. Pull this up here. It's still a work in progress, but
Oh my gosh.
but the idea for it was the concept behind it was Confusion, Zetai Guard, Emit Blade with biped legs and the leg ability of Extra Magazine. To explain basically what she does, Confusion is a negative ailment that prevents a target from being able to use its to select its next action or its next target for 3 turns or until attacked. This means it can accidentally use a support skill on the enemy team or attack an ally, and it has no choice what it does. Zetai Guard, or also translated as Absolute Guard, basically nullifies all damage modifiers, conditions, and ailments, so it only takes basic damage at any given point.
Okay, I see that.
And then Emit Blade consumes 30 CG from her charge gauge for double damage and piercing, but she can't use it if she doesn't have a charge. And then Extra Magazine gives her 1 additional head use as a free passive. And the theme I went with this one, because the concept she wanted was fantasy, was Witch Hunter.
Witch Hunter. Oh, I see it. I was thinking, why an axe?
So the idea, I gave this idea to another friend, and the concept they came up with is reminiscent of Witchfire, the game that's I think floating around on Steam I think right now, where you're basically using a witch's own magic and elements against them.
It just feels like a scythe would be more ideal.
I thought about it, but then when I just decided Witch Hunter, like Witch Hunt, it could be like an executioner type.
Yeah, that too. I was thinking about that too, because there
might
are some sites that have like a
I might redesign the axe looking back on it too. I had an idea for something I could use with it, but this is one I've been cooking in the backside that
yeah.
I've not had a chance to go back and finish yet. Well, I had some fun with this one. Alright, so what does this one do? It likes... Okay, Burn Blast. Burn Blast, Charge Bluster, Gatling, Float Legs, and Super Armor. Okay, so, Burn Blast. Relatively new skill that came out recently, but it is extremely catastrophic if done correctly. If you correctly and accurately target someone who is in their heating phase. The way Metarod explains its running back and forth pattern with Shuffle Run, you have 2 phases, heating and cooling. Heating is when you're running to the line, like you're getting ready to attack, you're preparing, you're warming up. Cooling is when you just finished using it and you have to cool down before you can do something else. Heating and cooling. Burn Blast, if you can accurately target an opponent that is in heating phase, you deal triple damage and piercing. If they are forward facing, you can one-shot nuke them with a free pierce and triple damage. At the cost, you cannot use the skill repeatedly, so it requires a 1-turn cooldown. And if the enemy turns their back, you only deal half damage and no pierce.
Huh.
So you have to. So this rewards you for facing your foe head on. Like
this smells of like a glass cannon.
Forward nukes. Actually, which works because this only has 1 heavy part on it. This is
it almost feels like a glass cannon. There's like so much like against it, and it can explode as well.
Yes, and it requires a cooldown no less. Charge Buster. So this is a conventional shooting skill that eats about 5 to 10% of the user's charge gauge, but then deals bonus damage relative to how much charge they have upon consuming. So you can use this without a charge and deal a base damage, which is fine, but this one kind of emphasizes you having something in your energy gauge ready to go. And if you have a nature, because we talked about natures with my collab, that complements that likes using a lot of CG reliant enemy attacks like Charge Buster, breaking things or breaking a lot of things at once are basically free fills to your gauge. So this is a charge reliant shooting attack that deals more damage if it consumes a charge.
Huh. Honestly, that's pretty cool. I love explosive stuff that, like I mentioned, glass cannons to me are some of my guilty pleasures.
Oh, and they're great too if you know how to build them right. Okay, Gatling. I'm gonna bump this down to regular Gatling because Gatling T was kind of its own independent thing with another specific model. But
you're the boss.
But Gatling is basically just your conventional shooting skill with a scatter type of effect, which means it will damage one part normally, but because you're firing bullets in a lot of different places, you can hit 2 other parts at random for extra damage. Short, collateral. Float legs means it works great on any terrain.
Let's go, no legs.
Basically, terrain is not your problem because you're not touching the terrain. This can come in the form of, like I said, like floating, levitating bipedal feet, in a tail, in a floating tower. I've seen some people do. You can interpret floating legs in a lot of different ways. And super armor. Now that's a fun one. Super armor grants this thing immunity, complete total immunity to paralyzed type ailments. Thunder, freeze, tornado attacks, anything that would stop it in its heating cooling phase to buy the enemy time while you're still trying to shake it off, you are completely immune to.
Holy Jeebus. It sounds really OP. Dangerous. They're gonna like.
Well, it can be very dangerous if built right. And super armor is something you can always have fun with. Heavy one. And only one heavy part means that it's not going to be focusing too much on weight. Okay, so we'll hold on to this for now. Okay, so the theme that you chose for this one was fantasy. So we could take this in a lot of different ways.
Please help me out because I'm like trying to find a reference. I'm like, oh my gosh.
So
this one's tricky.
So the idea with fantasy, the way I put this generator together was I chose to focus primarily with themes. So I didn't say, for instance, castle, or knight, or dog, or lion. I wanted to make it easier for the person using the generator to kind of figure it out on their own. So they can look at the kit and realize, okay, cool, so it does this, this, and this with a fantasy theme. So how can I work with that? And just kind of experiment with the thoughts that come into their head. Like, as one example... Let me pull up another one that I did. There is... Well, I could pull up Last Citadel. Last Citadel is a really good example of one I did late last year.
Oh my gosh.
Is Floating Castle.
This is always surprising. This is... Oh my god, that's the theme.
This is actually one of the ones I couldn't submit for the last contest, so I have one ready to go for him when the next contest comes in. But the idea was a floating castle, and I kind of built around the idea, okay, he's a colossus, a fort, a citadel, and I kind of used that to feed into his theme. So with fantasy, though, that could mean a lot of things. That could be knights, dragons, castles, magic spells, wizards.
Dragon?
You could do a dragon. A particular style on how we could do the dragon?
Oh my gosh. It flows, so more like a serpent. But that's like so. What if it's like middle of the body? It's like middle of the serpent, and the other half, the top half, it's more. I don't know. with like the limbs and the arms. More. I don't want to say completely humanoid,
Right.
but you know what I mean by the maybe what if it's like half dragon serpent and the other half being more.
So here's
think.
So here's
if you know Digimon, you think of like Megadramon.
okay. One thing I was thinking of immediately we could consider is Golem.
Golem?
Like Golem.
Wait, what?
Like Golem or Elemental.
Golem or Elemental. Okay, I see what you mean. Oh yeah, but it still floats, so it can still float on around. I don't know why when I kept thinking about float, like look at this picture.
Let me see here. Yeah, that would technically count. Like there's actually a lot of ones that have tails like that are considered float. Let me see if I can grab. Hold on, who should I find? There's a handful of them I could use.
Yeah, but no, I think you're on the right track because there's like so much explosive features that could be part of like a
or even
golem.
or even like a fire elemental, especially with like Burn Blast and Charge Buster.
Fantasy, but this fantasy, it needs to be fantasy, and
well,
this is the closest thing that I can think about a dragon that floats.
You can do that too.
It's like cannons.
Let me see. Okay, let me keep looking here real quick. Hold on.
Also, this is one of my guilty pleasure Digimon as well. This is like very big because it reminds me of like one of the games. Also, it's just absolute badass.
Yeah, we could
it's
absolutely
pure evil.
We could absolutely do something like that too. I'm just trying to see if there's another one with the theme that I'm looking at. I can't do that one. That's sea-legged.
You know, actually, now that I think about it, the Cubico, I didn't even assign a gender to it.
Well, I kind of set that one up as female because most of the Orimeda's I design are mostly male, are almost always male. And I keep telling myself I want to design a female one at some point, but I never get around to doing it.
Okay, that's fair. That's fair. Honestly, it looks so in the middle of the road. It can deceive. Hell, right. It's part of the Kitsune brand to be deceiving as well.
So what we can do to throw some ideas is, if we want to make this one unique, like say if we went the dragon route, we could go male, we could go female, or alternatively,
genderless.
Actually, believe it or not, I didn't get a chance to say this. I didn't get a chance to say this in our collab, but as of Medarot DS onward in 2010, they actually introduced gender N type parts that could be used by male or female Tinpets.
Ooh.
And of course, with that, they actually added rules for a lot of their super challenges, saying you can't use gender N type parts since you can kind of cheat rules with them. But yeah, they do. they do actually exist.
Damn.
So we could absolutely do a dragon type like that. Burn Blast, Sarge Buster, Gatling Teeth. With this one. I think there's a specific type of term for that kind of dragon too. It's in its what is this? I don't think it's a worm.
Worm? No, it's not a worm.
No, it's not a worm. It's I don't think it's wyvern either.
No, wyvern has a more. Wyvern's a more iguanas with wings.
Let me see. Hold on. I'm gonna Google types of dragons now because I'm curious.
I'm gonna have to be real. You're gonna have to give me the big hand on this one.
Types of dragons.
You know, that's gonna help me a lot on this one.
Here we go. This one I'm looking. Let me see. So it would be considered. They call it an amphitheater.
Amphitheater? Let me Google that myself.
It's AMPH, like AMPH, like amphi, like amphibian. ETERE. To be closer to something like that. Let's see.
I completely butcher that word. Amphitheater. Nope.
That's what comes to
I
mind.
like this picture you sent me. Yeah, I like the picture you sent me.
Take a look here and see.
This is pretty cool. I'm liking this, and also, what if it's fantasy? What kind of theming?
Well, if we went with dragon, that already kind of gives us a direction.
Sane resists. Sane resists. There's been so many times where I want to make a joke, but I'm like, take this seriously.
Let's see. Looking at my chat as well, just kind of seeing if they have any feedback to throw in here. Cyber Evil Android says, why not create Serpentera?
Serpentera?
Oh, I see who they're talking about now. The really big dragon-type Dinozord from the original Power Rangers. I see what they're going after.
I coincidentally, I almost went with like something that looked very Chinese as well. You know, like think Rayquaza, think like Chinese dragon, think that kind of folklore kind of dragon.
We could make
or
that
think
work.
Gyarados. Gyarados as well, but I don't know how you feel about that. Maybe you wanted to go with something how you went before.
We could make this work.
I kind of wanted to also be sort of like humanoid on the top with like arms, but at the same time, I don't know how you feel about I honestly, like I said, hit me up with what this generator has been cooking on your brain.
I kind of like the idea of going with like a flying dragon, floating dragon type. That could open the doors to a lot of ideas.
Is there anything like that in Netherworld?
There's a couple of dragon types that are similar to that one. I'll put this here for reference. He's not seen 3D for a very long time, but one of the models that comes to mind immediately is Chao Shan Ko from Medarot R, who is a Chinese dragon, a green Chinese dragon type that kind of falls in the same vein as that one. But
there's barely any. I'm looking at it.
Yeah, there we go.
Yeah, no, this one didn't even show up on me on Google. Like you have more resources like Google.
Well, I'm using the Metapedia too, so
you have like way more resources
than
Google.
That's one idea that came to mind for me is we could emulate something like Chao Shan Ko. Because there's ways that we can make this unique without building off of him too much.
Sure, I'm down for that. Or like I said, the Golem also, if you want to go in that direction.
So many choices. So many choices.
I'm gonna flip a coin.
You know what? Let's throw this in a spinner. I'm gonna go to pick or wheel real quick. Hang on.
Actually, no. Go with the dragon.
You wanna do the dragon?
Go with the dragon. Go with the dragon.
We'll do dragon then.
Go with the dragon. Like the golem sounds like a fun idea, a cute one. But now I look at this picture you sent me and I think about like, hey, can you do this? But give it like a hair like mine, like a ponytail.
Do something. We could probably do something.
Or if it doesn't make sense, then don't do it. But
no, I can kind of see where you're going. See, this isn't just me figuring this out. This is a collaborative effort. Okay, this isn't just...
It would look like a double. It would look like a double tail with a ponytail, because the tail's gonna be like. If that makes sense.
Off, please, thank you.
If you excuse me, I need to be right back. Okay.
Sounds good.
I'm gonna go to the restroom real quick. I'm also taking a quick health break. Be right back.
Alrighty. Something like that. Cyber, you had a really good idea there with going with Serpentera. I could kind of see a couple directions we could do. But let's do. I have an idea. Yeah. That layer, please. Thank you. What if we do... You can kind of see what I'm going after. I hope. Put the wings on the shoulders. Kind of like that. Make that work. Let's see. Okay. Out of the way. Okay, there we go.
I have returned.
Welcome back. So here's an idea I'm kind of cooking up so far. See if you can kind of
Ooh.
see if you can kind of see my vision here.
I do, honestly.
Kind of do like a kind of do like a draconic head and kind of make it like a winged serpent.
Yes.
Kind of like
honestly. And what about the burst?
Quetzalcoatl, I think.
Oh, that's so good. I love Quetzalcoatl. So yeah,
Enough, there actually is a legitimate Quetzalcoatl type, but we're definitely nowhere close to that design.
Yeah, no. Honestly, I'm done. I'm super done for that. But here's my question again. Where does the element of how can it cast the burn blast and the CG buster? Is that something that would come from like the mouth?
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking of. I'm gonna do like a draconic head for the head part, so that'll kind of solve itself. Charge Buster I've not figured out yet. Charge Buster and Gatling I have not quite figured out how to do that yet. I'll get to that point in just a minute. Let me find
maybe from the wings.
Could be a possibility.
You think so? Is there weaponized wings?
Or
is that something that's like a little too complicated?
There's a couple of them that are weaponized, but mostly in the sense that it's just like a wing, and then it just throws the attack forward. Here's the Quetzalcoatl, the actual Quetzalcoatl type, by the way. If you're looking at a concept, this is Kukul Tikal from Meteorot 7.
I've been so jaded by Quetzalcoatl being interpreted as a big booby anime waifu that it's the
yeah. People kind of forget. Oh yeah, it actually is a flying serpent.
Oh, it looks like a vehicle.
Right, but here's the funny part: it's considered flying.
Yeah, so it looks like a bicycle.
What we could do... Look at Quetzalcoatl real quick, see if I can get some items.
Quetzalcoatl counts as fantasy or myth?
Honestly, I'd say that one could kind of count as either. Especially because there's a whole bunch of different ways you can interpret it.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I can kind of see where they're getting it. Okay, like this. Okay, I kind of see my vision here.
I went. I have a coffee maker like right next to the, super accessible nearby, and I went to the restroom and to take care of myself other things, and I brought coffee.
Nice.
The thing is that when we were starting, I started with a plate of rice and meat in my hands, and then that has all been going down, and I'm like, ooh, I started yawning, and I need a coffee. I forgot to make it. So good. Ooh, it was very funky in a good way.
That do be coffee sometimes. I'm still trying to discover my flavor of coffee. I've not found it yet.
Favorite coffee?
I've not discovered
I
my
love coconut
flavor
ones.
yet.
I love coconut coffee, but I haven't had it in a while.
Well, it's more like just the type of coffee. Like some people have like mochas, some people are Americanos or things like that. I've not discovered mine yet, but so far, it seems that my most consistent seems to be something in the mocha category.
I mean, mocha is a flavor for the most. A long time ago, I was a barista. Mocha just means that it's a latte with chocolate. And latte just means that you like it not completely dark espresso, but then you want to have that added flavor of chocolate.
Yeah. Also very heavy emphasis on cream too, if I recall correctly, right?
I mean,
does that kind of depend?
It depends, but yeah, for the most it can, because like I said, in order to be a mocha, it probably will have it's not always mandatory because coffee has its own rules sometimes depending on the place, but it will have the dairy or whatever it needs to not be completely dark, not leaving it completely dark, and
Gotcha.
yeah, that's how it works. But yeah, mocha's pretty good too. I love mocha. You can't go wrong with it.
That's kind of what I found anyway.
I like me a good caramel macchiato. I'm having hazelnut right now. Very almond, very nutty flavor. Hazelnut. It'd be really funny.
What would that mean?
If you call her this dragon in the bluish, like the same colors as Ryuko.
You know what? Don't tempt me. Don't tempt me because I might. And I'll say, hey Ryoko, me and Sain made a new design based off of you. What do you think?
And it's like, oh my goodness, how spooky!
I'll incorporate blue in the design now. Thank you, Sain.
Give it the same horns on the head, the little sticks, which actually fits the Quetzalcoatl drip, because the horns on the head are also something that also the same dragon on the anime that I'm referencing, they also had it. Something like that.
Some kind of like that.
That's very Ryoko.
I don't know if she's gonna love this, or she's gonna want to shoot us both for this. I don't know. We'll figure it out. I'll tag her with it when I post these after the stream, and I'll say, "Hey Ryoko, Sain had an awesome idea. What do you think?"
And here are all your moves.
It's actually a really nasty looking kit too. Like this could really show some dangerous pretense.
Yeah.
This could be very dangerous on the field.
This is like it's what I like to call a glass cannon. It doesn't look. It has like 0 defense and all the power. Like if you punch the stomach of this thing, it's not gonna withstand a giant boulder or a giant fist.
No, and usually what they found is a lot of punish like that is emphasized toward heavy weight. In fact, actually, gravity attributes attack specifically, long through Metarod's history, has actually had a long-standing with an emphasis on success. And the way success is translated as a stat is your likelihood of the hit landing. And as far as S is concerned, but also in later games too, they also translate it as your likelihood of the attack landing a critical hit. So the higher your success stat is, the more likely it is that things are not going to dodge, but when you land the hit, it's going to be extremely painful. And as far as gravity is concerned, that was one of its particular purposes is success emphasis. But in recent games, as of I think it was 8 when they first introduced heavy parts as a mechanic, heavy parts they defined as stuff that usually had higher stats or higher specs, at the cost that the extra weight. I gotta make this wider. At the cost that the extra weight actually would slow you down. And they had to actually implement heavy limits on legs so that they could actually balance the mechanic properly. So if you were trying to use a leg that was not compatible because you were using too many heavy parts, it would actually eat into all of your stats at a debuff. So now you had to consider, okay, how much weight is it packing, and can I support it? Now, gravity though, its emphasis is heavy punish. So the way they've also defined it in later games is if something is carrying 2 or more heavy parts, packing on the weight, obviously, then it's going to be dealing additional damage. Your gravity attack is going to be dealing significantly higher damage than it would be to anything else, even on a high success chance attack. So in a lot of competitive PvP, you would be seeing, if you see people using a lot of heavy parts consistently, because those usually have higher stats or higher base power, you'll almost always see someone running at least one gravity part as a way to kind of scare off people from packing on the weight. Because one gravity type skill in the right place will cripple an entire build.
Oh geez, I love me some anti-meta.
It's actually quite hilarious. In fact, the Grendizer collaboration that ended before this Godzilla one that's wrapping up this week, it introduced a new skill called Void Shot.
Freaking Godzilla collab with Metroid, it's crazy to me.
Being completely honest, I think it threw a lot of people for a spin because, yeah, Big G is celebrating his 70 years, so a lot of people are going to want to get in on that celebration. But honestly, I think Metroid would be kind of like the last thing people would have expected to collaborate with it. So I don't know who was pulling strings in their acquisitions business department, but clearly they know what they're doing over there.
But I mean, how much do they have to? When it comes to deals like these, who is paying who? Because there's got to be a transactional
my guess is
obligation, right?
My guess
or is it just
is,
like neutral? Like, hey, we are safe and secure. Like, you know, we'll just share the thing and we'll do the deal.
I think it ultimately depends. Like, I would think if Imagineer is the one that reached out and said, hey, we want to do a Godzilla collaboration to help celebrate your 70 years, Toho could be like, oh, cool, we'd absolutely be 100% down for that. What is your offer? And it would be up to Imagineer to put an offer on the table that Toho would be considered adequate for them to consider, okay, you can use Godzilla in this because we own it, obviously. So you can't just use Godzilla because you asked. Or alternatively, if it was Toho that reached out to Imagineer and said, we would like to offer a Godzilla collaboration with you, what do you think? Then most likely it would be on Imagineer's table to discuss, okay, cool, so what are they offering and what can we offer in trade, or what kind of deal would benefit both of us?
Mm.
I don't have a business degree, so that's just how I would assume it goes anyway.
No, I can perfectly see that too. I can see that too. It's always so funny to me to see how do they even agree to all these things. And
frankly, that's what a lot of people have been asking, especially with some of these really big banger collaborations that they've brought in through the years, like EVA as another example. I don't know.
Oh my gosh!
I don't know who pulled that one off, but I hope they got a raise because nobody saw that one coming.
They did it. They did amazing.
They definitely know what they're doing in their departments. Actually, something that was brought to my attention too, as far as like the Metarot team and so on. There was an interview that was found fairly recently that was talking to Imagineer about future business endeavors. What are you guys' plans for the coming years and such? And it was mentioned in that interview that supposedly the Metarot team that is designated to this particular franchise in their business is like 6 people.
What the heck?
Minus any developers, distributors they're working on, obviously, because they are their own independent things. But the Metarot team themselves, within Imagineer, that work with the franchise, is like 6 people.
Oh my god, that is devastating. I'm gonna be real.
And I'm over here like, listen, guys, I'll be member number 7. Just reach out to me, please. I will happily do it. I feel so
bad for them. These people are just carrying the entire franchise. And is it also like the game the game department?
No. So very well. Honestly, I think that depends because, for instance, a lot of their games when it was still around, Imagineer's main developers were Delta Arts or Rocket Company, and when those companies shut down, I think it was. I don't think it was bankruptcy. I think the companies were doing fairly well. But it was something specific that made Imagineer actually absorb both those companies. So they were brought back into Imagineer as a whole. And since then, they've actually been without a developer that, if they wanted to consider adding a Metarot title to their roster in any given capacity. When Metarot S was released for mobile, they went with the developer called So What, and they've been doing consistently Metarot S related stuff this whole time, and they've been doing a pretty good job of it too. It definitely helps. But the big question that a lot of people have is, if you do release a Metarot 10, yes, please, we want it. Who would be developing it? Like who would you be putting behind the team? And that would.
Do you have?
Sorry, go ahead.
Sorry. Do you have the number? I don't want to sound like bad and negative. You have the number? How many active players are in this franchise?
I do not. I know when S first launched, back within its first 6 months, it had over 500,000. Within its first 6 months.
Gacha gamers are built different.
They are.
They love a good game. They will, and even if the game is something they don't like anymore, sometimes in order to detach themselves, they need to do a completely, cold turkey, or else, they will just continue playing the game till the end of the service. Some do that.
Right. And as far as gacha is concerned, though, that's actually where a lot of people get turned off, because they look at it and go, ew, gacha game, hard pass. And you know what? I get it. It's not for everyone, and I know gacha games have a lot of really negative connotations with the online gambling. It's understandable why you're kind of leery about it. But what I really like about how Metarot S has handled it, and I mentioned it briefly in conversation in our What is Metarot collab, is they've also made it a point to try to keep the game fairly forgivable. So even if, farther down the line, you end up pulling stuff that is all garbage, like you have everything that they gave you already, you can't use any of it, they still have they still have a resource that they give you called, one of which is called ROMs, the other which is called Cyplasium, which is what's used to actually raise the parts, and ascend them to higher limits. So even if you get stuff that you can't use whatsoever, no new parts at all, it's still giving you something as a compensation.
Resources.
Right. So it's kind of forgivable to that point. Kind of. It just depends on how willing you are to consider or forgive the idea of a gacha aspect. But for what it's done so far in 5 years, it's been pretty consistently good. Like, yeah, I think the rates suck sometimes because they have to redo them every now and then because the pool keeps expanding. But I think they've been doing a pretty good job. I mean, the game wouldn't be lasting 5 years if it wasn't.
Oh my gosh.
Honestly, the fact that this game has been ongoing for 5 years is amazing.
I suppose. Do you think they will ever do a, what is it called, an offline service for it?
It's
If it ever shuts down, I don't want to. Like I said, I didn't want it to sound. It's always like it's the question for all the latest gachas everywhere. Like, is it gonna die?
Oh, no,
is it going to give you the offline service?
Oh no, it's 100% a valid question. Honestly, it would kind of depend. Like, if they struck a deal with like Steam at some point where they could put the game on a market that's not exclusively Japanese, which is, excuse me, kind of the big problem right now with the whole trademark lawsuit that's been ongoing. They can't really do anything with it outside of Japan until that's settled. But if they made a deal with Steam, for instance, and they put the title on there, I could see them making an offline version or letting people convert their accounts to offline.
I hope so. Honestly, I hope I hope that's the future for a lot of gachas. Like, I'd be devastated, you know, how much I invested in Fire Emblem Heroes. I don't play it anymore. I play it once in a blue moon when I want to, like, hey, I really have nothing to do right now. I'm stuck in a medical appointment, and then I have like very little reason to go to Twitter.
Right.
So you know what? Let me open Fire Emblem Heroes, and then look at my characters because I have like almost 1,000 units, and non-repeats, by the way, because that game has so many units.
Oh yeah, Bedrot's actually the same way now. If you count individual parts, it's kind of wild. But no, I agree, and a lot of people kind of throw off with that too is, you know, when the game shuts down like that, if you invested at any point, like even just a couple bucks every now and then, or like a dedicated like weekly or monthly pass, what are you gonna do with your money? Like what happens to all that?
Yeah, it's gone. It's over.
Oh.
Like it's the same with Dragalia Lost. I lost everything there, and then when you open the game, the app, if you still have it installed in your mobile device, it's just gonna say like, this service has ended, thank you for playing.
Yep.
And then they show you like a link to a, you cannot access anything, and it directs you to like a link to like Nintendo website. So it's been I've always been curious about those kind of things, and that one was one franchise that I really thought would continue because it's Nintendo, and some of those characters are Nintendo original IP, and I can see people love them. If they make like a Dragalia Lost for consoles, like a kind of like a Grand Blue Fantasy did, like an RPG on the console or a fighting game, people will eat that up because they already have an established fandom right there.
Yeah, 100%.
Dedicated millions of people who would jump in the train of Dragalia Lost.
I 100% agree. And honestly, games that set up an offline, I know the one that comes to mind immediately for me would be something like Rock Band X Dive, that actually made a full-blown offline version.
Ooh, yes.
I know it had kind of some mixed reception for a while because they said the game is still there, but it's excluding like all the collab stuff that they got through the years. So like, if you go and install it, then stuff from like the Devil May Cry collaboration or Monster Hunter collab may not be there. And if people played when they had that actually, and then tried to play on the offline, they wouldn't have it. So I know that would kind of really annoy a lot of people too.
I despise when companies do, you know, I get it. It's like their property and they want to protect it and they want to like separate it when the service is dead, or when the service, you know, decides to remove the promotion, remove it forever. But it's like, come on, you know, just leave it there as a permanent memory for the gamers. So like, nah, we rather not. It's like we rather keep it safe because we don't have no control of what's happening later in the future.
Actually, curious. Have you ever heard of a much older mobile RPG game from Square Enix way back called Brave Frontier? Brave Frontier.
Oh, Brave. It sounds isn't that like it's an RPG that it was made by the same creators of Chrono Trigger?
I think Square Enix and Gumi. But yeah, they had they had a long they had a really long
Oh wait, no,
concept.
the Final Fantasy. They had a Final Fantasy to this, I think. Actually,
yeah, that was actually
I'm looking at it.
That was one of my first mobile games, actually, and I'm actually I'm actually still in touch with my old guildmaster when they introduced guilds into the game in the global server. And
no, I was thinking of something else, but I'm looking at Brave Frontier, and holy smokes, this is so nostalgic.
What I want to do.
I almost installed this game, but I never had the phone for it.
They had it actually was very fun. I really enjoyed it, but they apparently had a Brave Frontier 2 that only Japan released, and then they kept the global servers and regular Brave Frontier up for like 3 or 4 years after that before they shut the servers down.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah,
the art style is so outdated.
Yeah, it was a long time ago.
Oh my gosh. This was a guy online. It's great.
Yeah, it definitely aged, I'll put it that way. But it's still definitely a very fond memory. What do I want to do for these arms?
I'm in love with what you're making here, honestly. This looks like a creature that I've seen in like JRPGs and stuff. It's funny that we're talking about like gachas that are related to JRPGs.
Yeah,
this is like
exactly.
this looks like a boss from one of those games.
Yeah, I just gotta figure out what I want to do with the arms.
Arms. The arms. Are you gonna keep them as claws? Or are you gonna keep them as like like weapons?
I'm thinking about it. One idea that I'm having is maybe do like a Buster Cannon kind of arm. But then I'm also having an idea of doing like like mini feathers or something floating around a hand for the Gatling arm. Because Quetzalcoatl is a feathered serpent. So maybe it could be a nod to that. I mean, I don't want to leave it as just wings either. Like, I want to do something else with it. That's the catch.
Exactly. No, it's tricky. I'm just trying to see how you work your magic, honestly, at this point.
I think I might end up doing that. Yes. Actually, funny story about Brave Frontier though is that's actually partially where I got my username when I decided I was going to rebrand much later, long before I became a VTuber. But the name Kuura, that's stuck with me since. It was actually part of a story I was writing in the set around the Brave Frontier, because what was really great about the game is it actually had story, and every time they released a new batch of heroes, there was a story related to those 6 heroes at some point. Like they were either really close friends, some of them were lovers, some of them were enemies that just hated each other's guts and died fighting each other. But every batch of 6 heroes that they released had some kind of history to them. And I had an idea for a really interesting story, and one of the characters that I developed for it was named Kuura, spelled the exact same. It wouldn't be until years later, when I decided, I was going to start making content and whatnot, that I'd actually adopt the name Kuura personally. So it holds a close place to me for that reason.
Super interesting, honestly. I love the origin of a good name like that, not like mine.
I mean, let's be real. Sain though is still a really creative name, though.
It's not. It's not.
Yes, it is.
I just took half of the name of a Fire Emblem character. Not even half. I took the full name of a Fire Emblem character, and I put my quote unquote dead name on it, and then half of it, and that's it.
I mean, hey,
some people think that my name, I'm that I'm named after a router, but it doesn't take a genius to figure out what my name is.
I mean, still, it's a neat name though.
It's not. It's it has so much attachment to like the things that I want to detach from. I've been thinking of like just reminding to just Sane, and either just Sane or no Sane or Cyber Sane, and removing the Cisco part. It's doing more damage than anything in. I feel like it actually held me back as a creator because of how I represent myself and my personality and everything. So why do I keep it? It's so difficult to just remove from the socials.
So you're thinking about possibly just rebranding with, as a single name. I think I remember reading something about you from a while back. You were considering it.
Yeah, no, I've always thinking about it. It's always been in my mind. I can just keep the same Cisco in some places, but I can always like go. And nobody calls me Saint Cisco anyway. Most people just call me Sane, and right. That's it.
Well, it's still you regardless. That's the bottom line.
I know, and that really doesn't. It's never gonna detach from who I am. But anyway, the reason why I also keep it, if I were to like just be more open here while we have you, I feel like these kinds of streams are doing flavor to that. It feels like I'm just talking. I am. Well, I am after all. I am talking to just a friend, just like while watching them do their craft, and it's making me really feel like I need to just share kind of like things like this. But I'm very open about this.
It's a friendly chatting stream. That's all it is.
Yeah, exactly.
It's a collaborative chatting development stream.
Yeah, I feel like one of the things that I wanted to one of the things that I never wanted to detach from my name from the beginning was like, what if I make content as a VTuber and I didn't want it to be a VTuber anymore? And that was at the beginning, and when I was starting, and then I was like, what if I?
Then you're kind of sitting there going, great, what do I do with it now?
Yeah, what if I change my name and then I don't like it, and then now I don't want to be a VTuber, but I want to make content, and so do I just go back to San Cisco or keep the new name that I make myself? And you know what? In order to like keep myself real and to the ground, I'm just gonna keep myself a Saint Cisco, which is like the most real thing ever, and just be more open about it. And well, it's the most comfortable decision that I've ever made, so I can be reassured of what I am and who I am. Right. I feel like now that I'm way deep into the VTuber sphere, and I'm comfortable with a new directionality in my life, I feel like the Cisco part is doing damage, but the part of me that is like a security blanket, the Cisco part it's still there,
right?
Because it also helps as a reality check for a lot of individuals, and it's like, hey, this is who I am, and I'm just here to represent myself in the way that I prefer. I'd rather people see me as my VTuber than whatever the hell they think I am in the background, right. Which is why I often remain, even in lore, as a just gender fluid individual.
Right. Because you want to be identified as sane, not really anything else.
Yeah, sane is the most gender neutral thing that I could think of as well. Just saying. I am just saying.
No, but for what it's worth, if anything ever happens to you and you decide you don't want to be in the VTuber sphere anymore, that's gonna rock some. That's gonna rock some worlds. I'm just saying.
I can see that now, honestly, in a way, but I am still, while it will, I still think that as a creator, in all sense of reality, I'm still look in all sense of reality, I'm a microscopic content creator. I am right now. I don't want to say any self, the degrading terms. I'm a small creator. I'm microscopic by all means. Did you know that there's actually like a, in accordance to like the law, how what number is acknowledged as a number as a content creator, and in what platform? What number? What status? If someone actually, I want to bring that up because I'm gonna read this out loud here. If you'll allow me.
Absolutely, go ahead.
Okay. So this is what I search. I search how many followers do you need to be considered an influencer, and according to the scale here, it says like a general breakdown. It's that if you have across the internet, from 1,000 to 10,000 followers on your website, you are a niche or a localized creator. You're like,
Right.
1,000 to 10,000. Below that, you are no one. It doesn't say that here, but basically, there's like
It's
no term for
insinuating
like
it.
below 1,000. Yeah, it's insinuating it. However, from 10,000 to 100,000, you're a micro influencer. That's when things start getting like rowdy,
Serious,
and you're
yeah.
officially considered, you're officially recognized as a content creator after 10,000 followers. You're targeted campaigns with high engagement. So that means that you're someone who's able to rock the boat.
I am definitely not anywhere close to that. I only just hit 1,200 recently, and that's after sitting at like 1198 for like 2 months.
I'm gonna be real. While you're still in the category, I might say, on the nano influencer side, you do have the
Well, I have the
platform,
Meta market.
like, you know,
Yeah, I have the Meta
exactly.
market cornered. Like, there's
Yeah,
no one that does
yeah.
content like I do. I absolutely know that.
Yeah,
but
no, you have a niche that is like, it's a. I personally, as the person who I am, as the content creator that I am, I recognize your craft. I recognize your abilities, and in able to be on the same level as any other macro or mid-tier influencer. And also you have a Facebook that is like it's pretty huge as well, so you are definitely in some capacity, depending on the POV that someone looks at you. If we look at accumulated numbers, you are beyond already, well, what is considered a micro influencer. Because check this out. So I said 10,000 to 100,000 followers means micro influencer, someone who's able to have high engagement.
right.
After that is mid-tier influencer, which is the middle of the road, which is like 50,000 to 500,000.
Right.
That is a good reach with specific niches. So that's big, that's huge. But it's still not like, according to this chart, it's not. It may be big, but it's not considered like the biggest at all, or recognized in a lot of places.
Right.
Then after that, we have macro influencer, which is 500,000 to 1,000,000 followers, broad reach and professional content. That's the standard for that. And after 1 million, you're considered officially a celebrity.
Yeah. I'll
Your
buy that.
celebrity status. Mega, and the category it says mega influencer. Global
see that.
campaign. Yeah, you're if you have 1 million followers, you are literally considered a global, global impact. That means that you can be considered actually like a dangerous individual to some places of the government.
Yeah, because,
like,
because you have such a pull on your community.
Yeah, no, you have power. This is like it's literally like
I think that's why
it's insanely scary.
Just put a joke here. Honestly, I think that's probably why when Kuura's saying "take me out to the ball game," she actually helped the team win.
Oh no, yeah, it's like you have power. Words have power.
I'll do this over here. That other idea. Yeah.
It's incredible, like oh yeah, I'm just like, imagine just being someone who is like an artist, like with the thing you're doing right now. Imagine if you did this like all the time.
I would
And then
love
suddenly
to, honestly.
and then you hit. Hear me out. The crazy story that I just thought of.
Okay.
Imagine that you're doing this right now. You're just chilling, just talking like this, and then suddenly your numbers start growing, and you read the status of like Jaden Animations. Like Jaden Animation is like one of the biggest animation channels in YouTube.
Yep, I'm aware.
And then out of nowhere, you're just drawing your meta rots. But however, your number got so big that without you and your consent, suddenly the government is at your door. It's like, hey, you have power to have global impact. Be careful of what you say and do. And it's like, oh shit! I was just drawing meta rots.
Yeah,
what
exactly.
do you mean that my reach is so big that I can have global impact?
Yeah,
Be careful what you say.
I think that would definitely be a problem with a lot of people. I think we kind of discovered that in recent too with what's been going on. That sometimes saying the wrong thing or not saying the right thing can lead to a lot of really big consequences.
Oh wow, yeah, like all the VTuber thing that we were talking about earlier,
All right. So
or anything with content creators. Honestly, look at Asmongold.
I've been hearing a lot of stuff about him in recent. Yeah.
Ooh, is that like an attack? Is
Yeah,
he
I'm
like
thinking like
shooting
a.
something?
Well, I was thinking like a charge bust would be like a
Like scales?
serpentine cut ahead, yeah, and be like firing feathers like a Gatling attack.
That's incredible.
That's what I was
Ooh,
figuring, something along these lines.
You know what I'm thinking about this? The little creature that we that we created here. This looks like the perfect type of metal rod that it's usually used to be dismantled to give enhancement to others.
Yeah, I mean that's actually
those exist. Your purpose is to enhance others.
Yeah, sometimes you're better as mixed parts than you are as a pure set. There's actually a bunch that actually fit that very specific scenario. That's why. Yes. That's honestly why when I grade on my channel, when I grade models and I break them down and analyze them, I grade them twice. I grade one of them as my first grade is as a pure set score, like literally just using the model straight out of the box with no assistance or how synergetic they are, and the second grade is as mixed parts. So say for instance with this one, which has, let me pull it back up again. Burn Blast, Charge Buster, Gatling, Float Legs, and Super Armor. The kit itself might be kind of funky. Like, you can make it work, but it may be kind of weird. But Burn Blast and Float Legs alone are already really good. But if you pair that with Super Armor as a really good example, Super Armor is a stupidly useful ability. Like, that'll almost never go out of style. So, you could probably find a good use for these Float Legs, even if they are... even if they can only support one heavy part, you can find at least a couple dozen different places you could use these legs almost immediately.
I mean, definitely, there's plenty of there's gotta be plenty of scenarios and battles where having no legs will help you.
Right.
Float. That's what I meant, having float, not having legs.
Right. Yeah.
But you know what I mean.
Yeah, I understood what you were saying. But no, that's the charm of Metarot, though, is the fact that you don't have to use it as a pure set, and sometimes the best strategy is to mix it up. Alright, so what do we want to do for color for this thing? Quetzalcoatl.
Ooh.
Well, it's mostly a green teal, but it also has elements of red. It's also described as having a lot of multiple colors.
Yeah. Are we going to go with the route of multiple colors, or keeping it one frame and then giving it a little bit of in one part of the body, mixing all the colors?
Well, I'm thinking the primary color could be like a turquoise green, like a more emphasis on the green, and then mix it up with reds, blues, and yellows.
Sure. Honestly, that makes sense.
That's my idea, anyway. I'm figuring...
Yep.
A little darker than that. Kind of like that.
Green.
A little bit of a bluish tint. More of a... not aquamarine. Actually, this is closer to a turquoise. Of course, the same question comes from the last one. What should we name this thing?
Oh, now you got me here. Hold on.
It's kind of obvious that we kind of went with the Quetzalcoatl, ultimately.
Yeah.
Be some... I don't want to say, like, Sky Serpent or something, because that feels kind of blank.
Does it have to have, like, a reference to the type of power that it has?
No.
I'm looking at the name Quetzalcoatl. You know what's funny? I'm reading here the name. Somebody asked on Reddit, why did they call? Why this is a question about Kobayashi's Dragon Maid, and they're saying, why did they call her Lukoa when her real name is Quetzalcoatl? And then the first comment says, this one's 7 years ago. It's a nickname based on how the last part of Quetzalcoatl is pronounced in Japanese.
I was about to say it most likely is a contraction or a nickname.
Yeah.
And some of the other ones are just more obvious, like, for instance, Fafnir. Well, I kind of figured it was something along those lines.
Yeah.
Of course, that doesn't really matter when people take one look at her and say, very soft dragon lady. And they're not wrong with that either.
Rukoa. So apparently the way it's pronounced in Japanese is Quetzalcoatl. Quetzalcoatl, and then Rukoa. It means like the middle of the road. It's Rukoa. So I love it when they do that. It's so genius.
That's actually the same thing with Metara too. I love the naming conventions when they actually take time to think about, like part names and what they match. That's actually why with a lot of my designs, I tend to put a lot of emphasis on that as well. Like for instance, with my with one of my recent ones, I'm absolutely gonna be putting in the next competition, Big One. He was full of references. Like I very specifically and very carefully handpicked a lot of the names and made sure that they translated properly, because I wanted to make references. Now, it's not required for you to make references, but it's that attention to detail that I love seeing with things.
So apparently, other names for Quetzalcoatl are Kukulkan. I was thinking about Cuckoo, but I think that just sounds so,
Kukulkan.
I don't know, so simple. Like Kukulkan or Cuckoo.
That's actually the original Quetzalcoatl type I sent to you earlier, the large serpent type. His name is its name is actually Kukul. Excuse me, it's a tongue twister. Kukul Tikal.
Yeah.
But yeah, its actual motif theme is Kukulkan.
Okay, then it's way too close to that. It's tricky.
Yeah, naming something is always the tricky part.
And it's me sitting here creating a character and then waiting 1 hour to name the character.
Yeah, exactly. You can spend 3 hours making a character in a character creator and then suddenly spend 6 hours just trying to figure out what you want to call it. Brush size. What are your thoughts on a model ID like a QZT or QZL?
QZL?
QZT or QZL? Quetzalcoatl.
The Z. The latter, yeah.
QTZ. You can do that.
Oh, yeah.
See, Metal Dragon Serpenta with, what did you think? Looking at the comments again.
Cool.
Serpentera, what did you think there? I really like the idea of suggesting Serpentera. Like, it definitely gave us a direction on where we could take it with the dragon. Now, we ultimately didn't follow it exactly, but it definitely put us on the right track. Definitely a very smart idea.
I was thinking, what about we just take the co part of Quetzalcoatl and just name it Coco? This beast is called Coco. COCO. Is that too simple?
Yeah, I'm trying to think of something a little unique.
Although, yeah.
Maybe 15. I want to throw something out like Wing Serpent or Wing Snake.
What's the longest? Now I have a question because this is one lengthy word. What is the longest name in a Metalot?
Like I said, the usual rule is that when you translate it, it has to stay 8 characters or fewer.
Hmm. I'm here treating you like Google. Like, hey Kuura, what is the longest name on a Meteorot? Expecting an answer.
I mean, for most cases, there's a good chance I'd probably know it too.
Do you? You can think
Not
of like, oh, this Meteorot was a very weird name or a very lengthy name.
Yeah, not off the top of my head. Well, actually,
Quetzal. Just name it something simple like that, like half the name. Quetzal.
There's a couple of them that have really funky names. I know the Mayan God series from 7 had some really funky ones. Kukultikal is one of them. There was another one, because that whole series was based on Mayan gods for 7. There's Ixcalacmul. I think that was a reference to a pair of them. A pair of Incan deities. Ixcalacmul.
Dear Lord.
I know technically Charles de Nurse is considered 3 pieces to a name, but when it translates, it still crunches itself down. Do this in a little more. Oh, actually, no. Come back to that.
It's looking nice.
I need to figure out what I want to do for the accent color for the scales.
He's also known as the god of wind. Ekton. Lord of the morning star. Holy oh, Tatsukal Pentalakutli. That's such a long name. How
about if you open DeepL, try something like a Wing Quetzal.
in DeepL?
Yeah. I just want to see if it stays under 8 characters.
Do you want me to translate from English to Japanese?
Yeah, I just want to see if it's 8 characters.
You said
Wing, W-I-N-G, and then Quetzal, which would probably be, hold on, let me pull this up here. It would be Q-U-E-T-D-A-L, like just the first half of the name.
No, it's very long. Super long.
Darn. I figured it was something similar. I figured it was something along those lines. Well, it was worth a shot.
It has like 9. It has like 9 letters in there.
Oh, it's close. Okay, try take the L off. Wing Quetzal.
It stayed the same.
Oh, so close.
Oh, not the same, but you know the length stayed the same, and it just added like a different font to it.
Let me look as well, because and they're separating it. That's why it's 9 characters.
Yin Yang.
I mean,
I named a god of wings, and it said Yin Yang. This kind of looks like a yin yang. It starts and ends the same, but it doesn't have the yin yang reference.
We could do Wing Kotal. Do the other half of the name.
It has exactly like 7 letters. How do you read that in Japanese?
Well, one thing to mention as well that I've seen with the naming conventions for Meteorot is they almost always stick with katakana. So as long as you have a knowledge of the katakana alphabet specifically, you can kind of pick up on pieces of it. The only drawback to me trying to learn Japanese is the fact they have 3 alphabets. I'm
I
not
put it in
kidding.
the
They have
translator.
3.
It says Uingoto, Uinkoto, Uinkoto, Ui. Just naming a wing. It floats. It's the name is Wing. Like some of the first Pokemon. Sandshrews name in Japanese is Sand. The least creative name in history.
I mean, hey, at least still people know what it is.
Sand. Awesome.
Well, for sake of naming conventions, there actually is a model as well. I sent you the Metapedia link earlier, right? I think I did.
Uh-huh.
Hop on the Metapedia and search Dave.
Dave.
Dave. D-A-V-E. I am not kidding. That is legitimately its name.
The Metapedia. Oh.
Yellow eyes. Okay. This way.
Dave. It looks like a little ghost.
Yeah, that's literally it. It's a Spectre type, simply named Dave. It is one of the only models with the EN name changed to Spectre that I actually can justify makes sense.
Dave. Dave has a minimalist design based on the classical depiction of ghosts, Spectre. It resembles a floating person in long white robe, with long cylindrical sleeves and golden chain.
Yeah, and he's just Dave.
It looks sad. In the profile picture, he's just looking down like, I'm Dave.
Yep, just Dave. Well, think you got Blackmail, Beastmaster, God Emperor, Dave.
Oh my gosh.
But yeah, he actually has a really unique naming convention, though. There's actually a reason he was named that.
Naming conventions.
I think on the page it does say, but he was actually named after a popular Japanese comedian, Dave Spector. I don't know what really made them think that exactly, but that's basically what it was justified as. I'm like, you know what? I'll buy it.
Oh my gosh. Honestly, you've done such an amazing job with this one.
Yeah, I had to really.
I was not expecting. I wasn't visualizing it.
I had to really think about this one. Now, if you want to know the ones that you really have to think carefully on with the design conventions, is if they're able to transform. Because meta change adds a whole new factor that you have to consider with the design. Such as, okay, how does this transform from this form to that form, and how can I justify that with its design?
I see.
Actually, I have a really good example that I can show you here. Just a minute. Here, let me finish this then. Take a brief intermission before I finish up.
Yeah. No rush.
Let's see. What's it? Yeah, this one. It's... There we go.
Oh my goodness. VPR Pro 00. Holy smokes! I can see that there was some. You know what? The colors and the train reminds me of the one you showed me.
Yep.
A while ago. When you made.
Funny story. This is one I've actually had for a very long time. This was one of my originals back from like 2017, and I didn't get around to redesigning him until like 5 years, 17, many years later. I'll put it that way.
Oh.
But yeah, he got a total redesign from the ground up. But because he was also designed to be a transforming type, I had to really consider that when I was putting his design together to make sure everything fit. Let me show you... What was it? Document. This one.
Honestly, it looks cool. It kind of feels like I'm making a Battle Network character.
Yeah, like I planned this guy out.
Oh my gosh, you went full focus on the details.
Because I had to figure out, okay, cool, how can I get him to transform properly and justify it with his design? So, yeah,
pretty neat, honestly.
He needed a rebuild. Let me see. Grimulkin, I do see popped in my chat. Pleasure to have you with us.
Aw.
Great person, by the way, if you're looking for someone to hang out with.
Heck yes.
Actually, on the top...
We still haven't decided on the name, actually.
Yeah, that's what I was trying to think the whole time. I'm thinking something with either wing or sky in it.
Soda! I've been thinking about sky.
Hold on, let me try something. I'm curious.
Soda!
How many characters is sky? 2 characters. Hold on.
Green sky.
Ooh, hold on. I think I got one.
Hey, yo.
We could do Sky Quetzal.
Sky Quetzal? What does that say?
It translates... Hold on, 1, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. One of the alternative spellings for it is 8 characters. If you run... There we go. If you run that through DeepL, it should be the first or second results. I think could probably match it. I think that might be our winner.
English. The third result. And so I take this result and I put it oh my gosh, it's not copying. It needs to sound cool. Whenever I put the name in Japanese to read it, if it doesn't sound cool, it doesn't vibe with me.
Yeah. You gotta make sure you gotta name it properly, you know? It's gotta be something that sticks.
Ketaru. Tsukai Ketsaru. Sounds like a finishing move.
I mean, hey, with Burn Blast and Charge Buster in its disposal.
You're not fair.
Yeah, naming conventions are just weird. Like, you have some that are, like, full of references, and then you have some that are literally just rifle.
Gun.
Yeah. Actually, fun fact too, there is a model in Medarot 5, because 5 is the only game in the first 5 mainline titles that did not feature any returning models from any previous game. It was a completely brand new roster from the ground up. This meant, of course, there was no Metsubi in Medarot 5. So,
what?
How did they fit him in there? There is a model in 5 that is a scarab beetle type by the name of Kana Bunbun. All of his parts are literally Metsubis with punch at the end of them.
I love how Metabi is just based on the beetle.
So his design, so his part name, Kana Bunbun's part names is Missile Punch, Rifle Punch, Submachine Punch, and Big Ochitsuker. That's how they cameoed Metabi in Meta 5.
Creative. Gotta love Japan.
Yeah. They I don't know who thought of the naming convention. That was really creative. But then you have other ones that are just so far out there with your design. You're wondering just who cooked this one up. Leaky Drake. I did get a chance to talk about this one with our collab. He's literally a model that transforms into a bowl of duck soup. Wheeled duck soup.
What?
Wheeled duck soup, I should say, because he actually converts to a wheeled type.
Oh my gosh. I love it.
It's hilarious, honestly. And I think that was actually one of Mr. Tagro's early designs, too. Because I think he was attributed with a lot of designs between 4 and 5. I think he actually made a tweet about that a while back, about wondering what other models are coming to S, and he just posted one of his old works of Leaky Drake. We require the duck soup!
Honestly, oh gosh. I've been dying. I've been hearing all this topic about conventions, and I'm like, oh my gosh, I gotta go to one sometime, because I haven't been to a convention in such a hot minute.
I would love to go to one, but I don't have people to go with.
I haven't been feeling the best.
Right, I gotcha. Yeah, it's in my area specifically where I live, they just don't host them very often. And I don't want to travel, 2 to 3 hours one way to go spend a weekend in a hotel alone just to go wander if I don't have people I'm going with.
Nah, it's better if you go with a crew. At least one more person, honestly, who enjoys it, of course. Don't bring someone who's not gonna enjoy the same feel, because it's always a miserable time.
Yeah. That's the big catch, honestly, is finding people, and I just don't have a lot of folks in my area that do that. That and I can't afford to right now anyway, so...
No, things are kind of crazy.
Yeah, I've been reading with all these tariffs that are floating around right now, and I was actually just reading today, apparently, that Amazon's fighting back with all these tariffs that are going on right now. They said apparently they were going to be releasing on their website, they're going to start showcasing what prices are before and after tariffs. And apparently the U.S. government's trying to breathe down their throat, saying that is considered an act of hostility.
No, it's you gotta show me the reality.
Yeah, exactly.
Show me the Carfax.
Yeah, exactly.
Show me the damage.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy what's going on with those tariffs right now. Like, it's throwing a whole bunch of stuff, like with the Switch 2 pre-orders and everything, into whack.
Oh yeah, no. I did read a document of what are the price changes on the Switch. The Switch itself did not change, but the accessories and controllers they went up by like $5 each.
Honestly, I'm not worried about $5 though. That's not a big deal to me. And honestly, I think them charging $450 for the console is fair, especially with all the specs that they showcased in their direct.
Mm-hmm.
I think the really big problem people have with it is just the cost.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's 100% a valid take. There was one tweet. There was one tweet that I found recently. I'll see if I can find it for you later if you want. But basically, this guy reached out to his college econ professor and asked, "Hey, what are your thoughts on the Switch? The Switch having such an inflated price with the console and its games?" And it was honestly one of the most profound answers I've ever seen. That was not arguing in defense of Nintendo and just from an objective standpoint says, "Yeah, this is completely normal. Here's why."
Honestly,
they said basically, long story short, inflation. Because 2017 $50 is not 2025 $50.
Yep. As much as people don't want to admit it, it's unfortunate that the reality is that people have been saying for the longest time, this is a hot topic that people could probably crucify me for, but people have been saying that a lot of games have been very disguised as like already being $80 plus. Like if you buy Smash Bros, if you want the full content, it's gonna be like $120. and that's
Right.
without like the Mii customs. But if you want all the characters
Yep.
on the 2-3 battle pass I put in there, I mean fighter passes, they're like $20 each, and
Yep.
if you buy them, it's gonna be like $100. And then AAA games have been just hiding DLCs in there, so every game it's actually like $100 if you want the complete edition.
Yeah. I mean, Xenoblade, for instance. You know, when Xenoblade 2 came out, that was when I bought it. It was like $80. I read too. Now, granted, it was absolutely worth the $80 I spent on that game. I absolutely loved it, but still, it's $80.
Yeah.
Others red.
Oh my gosh.
How far are you in your Xenoblade campaign, by the way? I noticed you were working your way through that.
Oof. I've been unfortunately being held back by just life in general, and it's a shame that
have you met Mr. Rotbart yet?
I got Dunban and I got Melia, and now I got Melia,
But you're
and then I
still kinda
started talking
early
to
on.
like some. Yeah, pretty much. It's unfortunate, and it's been like 2-3 months, and the unfortunate reality that I've already told part of my community is that I may have to put the game down and just save it for like a marathon that I may do someday.
Gotcha.
I have way too many. This is a topic that people are gonna, and in my community are gonna strangle me for, because it's a big "I told you so." Um, the "I told you so" is that there was a lot of people who wanted me to, who play more games, like because I was never beating games. You know, I was leaving games undone, and I started playing more games, and then I started doing less of the things of How I Met You. You know, like here's VTuber interview,
Right.
and then that kind of thing. And despite the fact that VTuber interviews have like a mixed reception as a content creator, it's like, hey, more people are there for me, and when I'm there with someone, it's a hit or miss. But at the end of the day, the importance of a collab like that is for like the topics, the clips, the networking.
yeah,
There's
absolutely.
so many benefits to it.
Absolutely.
So it's always a great thing. It didn't matter the number. However, when I started putting the gaming focus, I didn't have an identity, and a lot of people just left. They just left. They are like, "Oh, you're just a gamer now." And it's like, "Oh,
Yeah,
there
it's-
they go." And then
you gotta find that balance.
and it's like, "Oh yeah, it's like I made a survey. What do you want to see the most from me? Oh, I want to see you actually beat games. You little city gamers, streamer.
Yeah.
Okay, let's beat some games." And then I started playing some games, and the people that the whimsical audience that wanted the games, they're gone. It's like, oh, now I have nothing. I didn't have an identity. I didn't have any projects, and that's why I announced today that I was gonna do a mega collab regarding to that. And already the reception in Twitter, like there's already like I'm gonna have to go through 100 applications.
Wow.
There's people who want to collab and they just want to chat, and the VTuber community wants to be acknowledged by just doing collabs like that. And right now there's a severe lack of that. There's a lot of people who are just into being reaction streamers. I am
Right.
one of those too. And that a lot of my community, the OGs, were like, "Oh no, don't do reaction streams. They're not good. They're not good because you're just doing basic stuff." But when I look at the stats on YouTube, that's what people are watching.
Yeah.
It's like it's like no matter times how I tell the people, the ones that are the most the vocal minority, the vocal minority are the ones that are the most active. I just keep going back to them to be like, "I told you so."
Yeah.
Because sometimes I gotta face the lurkers.
Because you run the numbers and you know what works.
Yeah, no, it's the lurkers. The lurkers are the ones who are gonna vote with their presence in my stream.
Right.
And
yeah, that's kind of where I was at too, because when I first officially started streaming, I did it with Dark Cloud 2, which By the way, fantastic game. Start to finish. Love the story. I've beaten it 3 times over the course of my life so far. I love the game. Fantastic. Soundtrack is an absolute banger too. It's an investment. It's a long investment because it is kind of a long thing to raise and farm and go back and do levels over again. It is. And you have to know for a fact that there's going to be people willing to support and follow you on that journey as you're playing the game. And if you run the numbers and find out, yeah, not a lot of people are really keen on it, then I guess you're not really gonna focus too heavily on it.
Yeah, no, that's what happened to me, and I'm trying to get back into the groove of things, and I know I can do it. It is what it is.
Now, if you're looking for something shorter to play, because maybe people just don't want to see like great big long, really big long Let's Plays that take like 8-9 episode or streams. One possibility that I was thinking about, and I was going to suggest this to a friend, is Anton Blast.
Anton Blast. I've been recommended that game.
Because it's only 12 levels, and if you just want to beat the game and clear it, it's not super difficult. Like, one level alone will probably be like, say, I don't know, on a first time run, I'd say closer to maybe like 15-20 minutes on a harder one, and that's excluding happy hour, which forces you to get back to start within a certain amount of time anyway, because you're on a timer. So it's a possibility, but it's also super cartoony and refuses to take itself seriously. Highly recommend it. It's great. The humor in it's great. But no, I would definitely recommend checking Anton Blast out. It's amazing. And another possibility I could consider throwing out there is if you want to consider maybe like dev kits or like dev builds of games that are like in development.
How do I say this? I'm not saying that I'm gonna quit gaming.
Yeah.
I will continue gaming. It's just that there's gonna be a time and place for that kind of thing, and it's not that I'm gonna choose like shorter games. It's more about, how do I say this? I feel like as a content creator, I became the kind of streamer that people want to see more stories being completed. Not story completed. It's a weird terminology because it's a story and experience. It's not about what game you're playing.
It's more about what you're playing it.
The experience. People want to see the moment, the achievements, the goals. Yep. As a streamer, what are my ambitions, and what was I able to accomplish? If you see like the ratio from like the beginning of the beginning of a Let's Play versus the end of a Let's Play, like most people do not watch the middle. They want the beginning and the end.
Right.
And that's what they watch.
And they want the highlighted clips that your editor already went through and got the highlights of, which out of say like 3 hours of streaming would only be like 15-20 minutes maybe based on what you're doing.
Yeah.
So I can definitely understand that. That's why I was thinking maybe like smaller games too that that don't take nearly as long or aren't as complex could be another possibility.
I unfortunately sound like I'm talking bad about my audience, but I'm not. What I'm trying to say is that there's a reality of what people, what people think they want versus what they actually want, and I mean, it is what it is.
Right.
Like I've seen already what people like about my streams and what they prefer, and all the experiences they want to have in there. Or because a lot of persons that are there for me, and if I'm playing a game which is not gonna, require a lot of focus and a lot of story reading, and there might be games that in some occasions, if the payoff is good, then the people are gonna be there for that moment.
Right.
But if it's not, then they might not be there.
But
it's
still a gamble because there's no guarantee they're gonna follow you all the way through it.
Yeah.
No, I understand that. Definitely, that definitely got to find that sweet spot when it comes to what content works, which content doesn't. But as far as content is concerned, I'd say our little buddy here's done. What do you think?
Hey! Oh my goodness! I was like, I was enchanted all the time about how this is looking. Honestly, this is, oh my gosh! The fact that you were able to color all this, I was thinking of like, I don't know. My brain kept thinking about what about like a blue and something like that. But you know what? No. Leave it out. This is
What I could
perfect as it
do,
is.
and what I could do if
Mhm.
I decided to refine it, is because this is mostly what I do for the front backs like this is just like a flat coat, so not really anything serious. But say for instance, if I go back and do this, I could put like an iridescent shade. So like blend some blue and turquoise into it when I go to do the color.
Yeah, I can see that.
Give it like an iridescent sheen.
That's perfect. This looks like this looks like this is kind of a nostalgic design. I feel like at some point a lot of people have created like a mechanical dragon in this kind of fashion.
Right. Honestly, I think we did a pretty good job with it though.
Oh, amazing! Honestly, you nailed it.
Well, hey, this wasn't just me, all right. This was a collaborative effort. No, this I may have been putting it on the paper, but this was both of our ideas. So I'm not taking all the credit. I'm not, and I refuse to let you take me all the credit. This one isn't mine.
Oh my gosh.
But
Very Mega Man inspired. Thank you, Snackle. I had that in my brain the entire time.
But honestly, I think we had a really good time. Let me actually close that just with space. There we go. I enjoyed it. I was mostly gonna run this kind of stream collab idea as like an experiment to see how well it would pull off. But honestly,
okay.
I really enjoyed it. I think it was a really good possibility.
I'm glad you liked it.
What I would really like is possibly even kind of revisiting and doing something different with the generator again. Come up with something new for the next time.
Do you think you would do 2 or 1?
Well, I was thinking if we could design them quick enough, we could possibly get 3 in, but since it took us about 3.5 hours for 2, what I could do is something similar. We could do 2 just like this, or we could pick one really good one and I just refine it with proper, left side, left front profile and actually have some fun with it.
Yeah. If you want to grab my recommendation, I say if you grab the next person, try 1. I mean, ask them for 2 prompts and then grab 1 from there and then see how the conversation goes from there and it evolves.
Right.
And that way you can grab the most people and, and keep the video, YouTube format is super nice.
Right. That might end up being what I'm doing is I'll have them generate 3 prompts, much like I had you do, but then we'll probably look over all of them and then pick one that we're going to refine for that stream, because I like being able to make a whole bunch of bots like this. I think it's really fun, but I think at 3.5 hours for it, I think we're kind of pushing the bill a little bit.
Yeah, no, I also had to skedaddle. Like I told you, I have 100 to 200 applications to go through. Yippee!
Let me close my music to get that put down. But no, honestly, I had a lot of fun. I'm really glad that you enjoyed yourself as well, Sain. That was one of the big things I always worry about when I'm running collabs. So honestly, the fact that you enjoyed yourself and we had a good time means this was a successful collab. End of story. I'm a happy camper. But yeah, it's always a treat to have you here. Actually, before you do go, there is one more piece of news I want us both to reveal. That will be incoming. That is mostly pertaining to the Metarock community, but this will be pertinent to anybody that is curious and interested in participating. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to open up one more format here and just get this trigger. Hold on. Size that we do 19, 20 by 10, 80. On that real quick. I was working on this earlier today and was finally able to bring it in, and I wanted to be able to share it, the both of us, as a way that we can possibly make, have some fun with this next one. Let me find where I stuck that thing real quick. This has mostly been a question I've had in my circles recently over what we're going to do and how often we're going to do the next one. But in light of this, the process on the back end has been made. Dates, times, and everything has been settled. There we go. We are running another Orimeda contest through the summer in the official Rising Beetle server.
Oh my goodness! So you're gonna create your own designing contest?
So, well, actually, I'm judging. So I'm
You're
announcing this thing.
the
So yeah, we are going to be
steampunk.
we are going to be
Ooh.
hosting another Orimeda contest in the official Project Rising Beetle server. This time around, though, because I did run a poll through the last one, and they said they really didn't
Mhm.
care too much about the idea of it being a free for all. They'd much rather have theme prompts. So I decided that we were going to run a theme prompt for this one, obviously. So let me read off the rule set I put down here real quick, because this is the first instance of this being announced. I have not said a word about this anywhere else yet. The people who are tuned in
Yeah.
on this stream get first dibs and first notice on when this is going live and first announcement. So just going over some of the rules here I
Wow.
put down. The contest will run between May 6th to the end and end on June 30th. So that's nearly 2 straight months that people have to come up with designs and submit them for this contest. I will announce the
Oh dear Lord.
winners. I'll announce the winners on July 8th. So I'll take about a week to deliberate how many artists, how many submissions we have, and based on how many we have, I'll also deliberate how many winners and honorable mentions. For instance, in the last contest, we only had like 12 entries, so I could only pick like 2 honorable mentions and 1 winner. But if we have a lot of entries, I'd love to put like 3 winners and 2 honorable mentions. I'd love to do that.
Oh yeah.
This theme specifically, um, to celebrate 4 years of MNN delivering the meta news with a flair of steam and steel, this content's
Oh.
prompt will be steampunk. Cogs, gears, clockwork, steam power, however you want to spin it, this is where you let your mechanical prowess shine. So I want to see what you guys come up with specifically with this kind of theme, to celebrate coming up on 4 years here on the 4th of June. And wow,
Hell yes.
almost a month. Wow, how fast does
You
time
should be
fly?
very proud of yourself.
Frankly, I didn't even think I'd make it this far. I didn't think I would, but yet here I am. Um, yeah, winners I said will be relative to number of entries received. Just a couple notes as well. We are not looking for art quality. We are looking for creativity and originality. So do not let your sucky drawing skills stop you from entering. We're happy to see whatever you
Sucky.
submit. And reminder that Hormarin himself once said that designs do not need to be super complex or intricate. And Mr. Tagro parroted this statement with his emphasis on the lack of refinement.
Mm.
So you don't need to come up with the most complex design on planet Earth. If it brings to light what you want to showcase in an original design, do it. Don't let anything stop you. Entries
Well,
must
that...
also, of course, be drawn by the entrant, by the participant. You can't commission them because we actually had people do that a couple contests years back and had to kind of curb that quick. There will, of course, be specialized channels when the contest does
I
go
get it
up.
though.
But yeah, this is the first instance and first heads up of this getting announced. When I go offline, I will be posting this officially in the Metarot server as well. So if you guys hung out with us all the way to the end, you got first heads up.
Hell yeah. I'm honestly looking forward to this so much.
I'll
That
actually
looks like
have
so
to
fun.
I'll have to keep you posted on those, Sain. I might actually have you come in as like an honorary judge or something. We can look over them all.
Ooh.
If we get enough submissions,
Yes, please.
I'll tell you what. I'll tell you what. For anyone that watches this stream now, or for anyone that catches the tail end later, for that stayed this long, if we can get, let me shoot a number out. Let me say, if we can get 20 entries over the course of 2 months, because this is almost 2 months of this contest going live. If we can get at least 20 entries by the time the contest ends, then I'll see, and if Sain's schedule works well, then we can do it. I will arrange a stream where we will go over all of them, just one at a time in order, and we will review all the designs, and then we'll decide on a winner that stream.
Holy smokes. Honestly, wow. I'm super down, and if you invite me to this, if it all goes smoothly and it goes through fully, I'm up. Hell,
Definitely.
I'm even willing to throw my gauntlet into there without asking you for help.
Oh hey, absolutely. I mean, you've seen the generator, you know how it runs, and you have the the skill sheet right there too.
Mm.
Have
I'm gonna
at
make the
it.
best waifu.
Yeah, have at it. I mean, the more entries we have, the better, and I am more than happy to see anything that people come up with. That's the entire point of us hosting this competition. Now, the winners, though, what do they receive? Now, the winners, whether it be 1 and 2 honorable mentions or 3 and however many honorables, the winners will receive personalized concept art sheets drawn by myself personally. I will
What?
I will even stream myself doing it. and I will actually show off a couple that I've done of previous winners. Let me see. Where is the most recent winner? I went too far down. There it is. Oh no, I don't want to open. Pulling up some of the previous winners on here people can look at. Was the most recent winner was NBT Null Beetle by Carmana.
I love this, honestly. I freaking love the hammer. Hell yes.
Carmana had a lot of fun with this design, and him winning first place with it, and he did win first place. This was the grand winner and the only winner in this recent competition. It was a very creative design, very well done. And then one of the other winners I did mention before.
Super good. I can see this as more on the neutral side. I'm thinking good guy, bad guy, but I'm like, man, it's so neutral.
Of course, is Helmchan's.
Oh,
he actually changes one. There you go.
Super cute.
So yeah,
actually
winners,
looks like Helmchan. Actually looks like Helmchan.
So the winners will receive personalized arts just like these by yours truly, and I will stream myself drawing these.
Oh yes.
So there is. I'm not gonna say there's a lot on the line, but if you like personalized and free art, this is definitely a good opportunity. But yeah, we will be hosting the competition. It'll be starting up in just about a week actually, from today. So plenty of time to prepare and work on it. Happy to have anyone that wants to participate. Sain, if you definitely want to put something together, by all means, happy to have it. And if it does end up we have a ton of entries and you want to review all those and judge with me, absolutely happy to have you with that.
True. Yeah, oh, I'm super down for it.
All right. One final note before I do wrap us up officially. Sain, do you have anything going on your side of things that that viewers or followers should know about?
Oh, glad that you asked. Well, hello again, everybody. Oh my goodness. My name is Sain, and I am a V host. I am a VTuber who likes hosting different events, such as VTuber interviews, all the trivias, and all kinds of events, participating and taking part with VTubers. And at the moment, I am playing some games as well. But those are the projects that I'm pretty much going on right now. The gaming part, it's still ongoing. However, if you are excited to watch me play the evil route of Undertale that is coming up this weekend. I know that's one of the most like anticipated things that people have been wanting me, and at the same time not wanting me to do because of the outcome of that series. So I hope that people are expecting to see how I'm able to to complete that gameplay.
Yeah, I've heard a lot of things about genocide routes in Undertale. They're definitely a spike in difficulty that not a lot of people expect initially. They're thinking, "Oh, cool, let's kill everything like a regular RPG," and suddenly they get bodied by like the second boss in.
Oh yeah, no, you really have to go out of your way. At first, it's like, yeah, you have to really kill everything, but you have to like persistently kill everything in one area, and then suddenly it gives you like this very somber message, and then you have to choose like the correct answers, like be the most antagonistic evil bastard, and then suddenly the story just makes a dramatic shift.
Right, and it's
honestly it's good.
And it's honestly props to Toby for being able to do that. Like it's so tricky to kind of make that kind of thing work in a game, and the fact that it works so well in Undertale like that only proves why it's so revered as the classic that it is.
Oh yeah.
So definitely looking forward to seeing that as well. So yeah, if you guys want to see that on Sain's channel, that is coming up here pretty soon. Lots of stuff going on. I of course have my other collab this coming Saturday with Akko and Vale. We will be playing Goblin Cleanup demo and having him introduced to that. And it's going to be a lot of fun. Happy to have anyone that wants to tune in and hang out with us for a while. For anyone that is following me but not Sain, first of all, why are you not? Sain is an amazing person that deserves all the follow and support that they have received. Sain, thank you so much again for hanging out with me over the course of this stream. It was an absolute treat to have you with me. And I'm glad that you enjoyed it over the course of these the last almost 4 hours, almost 4 hours now.
Oh, honestly, you're so welcome, and thank you so much for inviting me once again to your freaking house. I love it so much over here, and honestly, you're super talented at what you do. Your craft, you definitely, deserve all the praise in the world.
Well, it's always great to have you as well, Sain. Thank you so much. So I'm gonna go ahead and bid you farewell here as far as the stream is concerned. Then if you could hang out for just a couple minutes after I go off the air, right?
No problem.
Once again, Sain, thank you so much for hanging out with me for this time. I'm glad you had a good time, and it is always a treat to have you here on the MNN. Go ahead and this. All right, but with all that being said, oh boy, 4 hours. It's definitely been a crazy art stream, but honestly, it's been fun all the way through. Honestly, I didn't even know 4 hours passed. I didn't even pay attention to the time. But no, it's been great. So with all that being said, as always, I do appreciate you all for stopping in, just as you always do. And until next time, this is your host, Kuura Isagami of the Medarot News Network, signing out.